I know that this person is about one video away from bankruptcy, you know? And I'm just like terrified for all of them. Guys sit here and watch all these other people on YouTube doing this stuff, and I'm like, damn, I'm jealous. Like, I could have some of the cars I've always wanted if I was just willing to go into crazy debt.
Driving my own Lamborghini Countach.
I can't lose 100 grand in depreciation. Like, mentally, like I can't.
What do most people, do you think, get wrong about the car market?
People just think depreciation is going to be a thing that happens to them, and they don't take steps to minimize it like they should. You have to kind of know which cars to buy, how to look for them, what to look for to actually not lose money. If you take a look at the car market over the last 15 years, cars are an asset class. We're like the only logical, rational people on this platform.
Who do you think is the most irresponsible?
Doug Demuro, thank you so much for coming on the Iced Coffee Hour.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to my lair.
Absolutely.
So we just asked Freddie Tavarish who is the worst with money out of all the car YouTubers. He said, take a guess.
Himself.
That would be correct. Yeah, he said himself. And then we asked who's the best. And this is what he said.
Oh, boy.
Stradman.
The best with money?
Yeah.
More
Look
than
at his
Doug
house.
Demuro?
Yeah, Doug Demuro.
Doug Demuro, yes.
No. Doug's very specific with money, but he can be pretty frivolous. He'll buy some car that he considers cool, and then that's like, I don't think Doug Demuro. I'm glad. I think he's totally fine with money. I think he's great. I think Stradman has monetized himself in such a way that he can afford hypercars and an incredible house and an incredible lifestyle, and he's opening up pizza places, and there's like upward mobility there. Doug, I think, put all his eggs in one basket, and it did pan out for him very, very well. But he said it himself. He's like, well, I don't know if I can do this again. I'm sure he can. I have a lot of faith in Doug, and I know he's very calculated with his decisions, but I feel like Stradman's probably, like, in terms of growth and ROI, I think he's probably better.
I think that, with no offense intended to Freddie or James, I think that Freddie is exactly the type of person who would think that James is the best with money.
That is hilarious.
But I'm glad that he recognizes, though, that he is the worst. That's definitely true.
Do you think he's worse than Hoovie's Garage?
Yeah. Because Freddie takes big swings with the P1 and the 918 and all that. Hoovie's pretty liquid. Like, he's got 50 cars, you know, at any point he could sell 12 of them and get some real money back. But Freddie's big problem, I think, is that, you know, his whole thing is kind of based on getting to these cars to a place where they're usable again. And if you can't do that, it causes a problem, as he explained to you guys. Like, and it's very expensive to do that, especially the level of car that he is buying.
He said that you're frivolous. So what's the most frivolous thing you've done with cars?
That's insane to me. I can't think of anything frivolous.
Well, how much did you pay for this car behind you?
Well, that car was like $1.2 million when I bought it, but it's
Was
a
it
lot more
frivolous?
now. Yeah, all cars like this are frivolous. Like, everything like this is kind of frivolous, right? But I also really believe in diversifying. And I think that right now, like, if you take a look at the car market over the last 15 years, cars are an asset class. I mean, I drive my asset. That's probably not the right way to do it, but I have money that sits in the stock market that I don't drive. You know, like, I can gain a little bit, not as much, but actually use it.
I would love to know a 1.2 million. What's the car worth now?
I don't. There was just a crazy sale the other day that kind of rewrites my mind about what it's worth. I don't want it to be worth more than what I paid, because it makes me really nervous to drive it. But I don't know. Probably 1.5. I need to probably.
I think it's probably more than that.
So this $1.5 million car right behind you, how much does that cost to drive per mile?
That's a good question. I haven't really spent much in it, but previous owners definitely did. I will say, though, the guy who bought it, there was the second owner. If the second owner had kept it until I bought it, so from like 2009 until 2022, he would have beat the S&P, including all service records, if you add them all up. and fuel and insurance.
But the mileage that you're adding to it, every time you drive
Yeah.
1 mile, that alongside all of the maintenance and then the insurance and the carrying cost, what do you think it costs per mile to drive the car?
It's hard to assess because like, for example, there was a service at the end of 20 that was $80,000. That dude I didn't do it. It was the previous owner. That guy paid a lot per mile. Right? I have been driving in a lot of miles, and I've been benefiting from some of that service already being done. And so my cost per mile is pretty low, especially because the value's gone up. I mean, truthfully, there hasn't been a cost per mile if you also will include what I paid and what it's worth. But I actually don't know. I've probably spent, if you factor in insurance and tax and all that, I don't know. I guess if you take out sales tax, which I think is like part of maybe you need to include sales tax because that's. But if you take it out, I'm probably in that car $50,000 on top of what I bought it for, maybe a little more, something like that, 60. But part of it was I did some stuff to it that I wanted to do. Like I put in heated seats, I put in Bluetooth. I completely replaced the factory suspension with aftermarket suspension that is more modern. The car sits at the same height, but the feel of it is tighter. Those were all elective. You know?
Yeah.
That's interesting. You threw in Bluetooth in this car that you paid $1.2 million for a car that didn't have Bluetooth.
Yeah, I mean, it's older, that predates Bluetooth. Yeah.
How much more expensive is it to install Bluetooth in a hypercar than it is to install it in like a Corolla?
It wasn't. There's a guy in Connecticut who's famous for servicing these called Jimmy Rapasi. He has a shop called Rapasi Motorworks, and he's come up with all these kind of interesting solutions for guys who want to really use these cars. So another thing we did, we put in an axle lifter, which wasn't a thing back in 2005. Now every supercar has, you press a button and whoop, shoots up. But that car didn't have one. However, that car is notoriously low in the front. It scrapes on everything. And so I put in an axle lifter too. And he created, there's a solution for, like, he figured out a way to work with a suspension supplier and like get that done. And so you push a button and the thing goes up and things like that. Bluetooth is expensive to add, and heated seats were expensive to add. And I wanted to make sure the car was as drivable as possible so that I had no excuses not to use it. Basically.
How much do you think your car collection has gone up in value over the last year?
A lot. In the last year, I don't know. I think that this over the last year has gone up more than I wish it had. Countach pretty flat. Ford GT's gone up. Our Ford GTs.
Yeah.
I consider Ford GT like a bond investment. Like it's not the strongest, but it is like dead safe. Like it is just continuous, and it's not expensive to own that car. I don't know, a couple $100,000 probably. It's crazy.
So what's interesting is that we're seeing these record prices right now for cars at auction. Like the supercars are going up in value. Lamborghini is having record sales. Prices are skyrocketing. But meanwhile, you see the consumer's purchasing power is going down each and every year. They're spending a record amount of their disposable income on cars. I think payments over $1,000 a month have now also hit a record. What is your thought on this K-shaped car economy?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? But I think a lot of it is, it's also, it actually reminds me in almost in a scary way of what we saw in 20, which was that a lot of the rich people are kind of moving back into assets. You're seeing gold and silver at where they are. You're seeing cars. You're seeing art. Like you wonder if maybe people are starting to get worried about holding, non-physical assets for whatever reason, or they think that there's a good investment opportunity in that stuff. But clearly that's happened. Like some of these cars that were $3 million. I mean, I'm talking about my cars going up, and it's been something. But there are some cars, the Enzo sales recently out of this world. To me, that mentally, that's a $3-4 million car. Well, the last 3 sales have been $8, $10, $12 million for them. Like, that's crazy. That appreciation beats out almost any like security investment you're going to make. You know?
Now, what does that do instantaneously to the rest of the market when you see one big sale like that?
It gets around, and then I think there's like a reset of expectations about what those cars are worth. And I think there also starts to become, I know this because I've experienced it myself, there also starts to become this fear that if that's a car you wanted, you got to go buy it right now. Because a year from now it might be even more. And so I really wanted the Ferrari 599 GTO. I think that's a really cool car. Mm-hmm. When I bought my Countach, I didn't really think about one, but they were the same money, and it was in my mind. And that was a 600 car back then, and now they're selling for just a little under 2. That was only 3 years ago. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I saw a couple of them, hit 1.2, 1.4. I'm trying on Auto Trader, like, okay, are they ready for sale? I gotta get this. I gotta get one of these. And like that kind of stuff happens. Like, and then there's this like groundswell. Okay, that's an $8 million car now. Well, if I'm someone who views, I gotta have it in my collection, right? I gotta get one. And so that happens. That like really, really happens. And I think it just continues to drive those cars to go even higher.
Why was Mecum so pivotal? And now, for those unaware, this was this recent auction that these lineup of cars all went for sale and just broke every record imaginable.
But that was an unusual auction, though, because most of those cars came out of this one collection where all of the cars were pretty special. They had all been optioned in this very unusual way with bizarre color choices. Virtually all those cars were completely undriven, and virtually all of them were the last one. So it was like the last 599, whatever, like the very last. So those kinds of things are always going to be special. And it kind of checked all those boxes. I actually think the more pivotal sale was last weekend in Arizona. RM did a big sale of cars that weren't really special. A red Enzo, a gray Carrera GT. And they kind of continued those prices. And it was like, I could see all the crazy Mecum cars getting those prices because they were very unusual cars. But now here we're sitting looking at some cars that aren't really unusual, that don't have a big hype around the sale like the Mecum auction did. And you're like, oh, maybe this is what they're worth.
But how much of that was influenced by Mecum?
Maybe. But that's how this all works, right? You see one auction and then the next auction shows up and people are looking at the last auction. Okay, well, that's what that's worth. And then they're going crazy on that one. And then 4 or 5 auctions from now, you're going to see if the market standard for a low mile Carrera GT is $3 million, that's what people are going to start paying.
So I'm curious though, who is buying those cars at Mecum? Who is paying this? And who is buying that car with like the green interior and like the McDonald's colors?
I am curious to find out the answer to that. I'm curious to find out the answer to that for sure.
Why do you think some people would say it's suspicious?
I think it's a little suspicious because they went for so much money and also because, and I'm not saying this was the case at all with that auction, but also because anyone who's in the business, and especially who's around this type of cars, know that there's some fishy stuff that happens at those auctions. Cars are pre-sold. The lamp in the back makes a lot of the bids. There's some sketch things that happen. And so there are always, whenever something like this happens, there's always weird conspiracy theories like, did this happen or did that happen? I definitely am not saying that any of that happened in this auction, but I think there are people who are sophisticated in this space are always a little skeptical.
What would you say is a maybe valid conspiracy theory?
That there was one collector who really wanted the cars. Here's the way it would go.
Yeah.
There's one collector who really wants all the cars. They've already been consigned to Mecum. That collector creates an agreement beforehand that he buys the whole collection for $40 million, whatever it is. I don't know. And then he makes sure to win, and he cuts him in on the deal. Right, like, okay, you already consigned the cars. I'm going to pay $40 million. You get 10%, 20%. I don't know. I give them another $10 million, whatever it is, and then they make sure to win. And the auction house knows that the cars are already pre-sold, so they can bid because then they know the guys. And then you get to these crazy numbers that makes the auction house look good. Again, I'm not at all saying that that's what happened in this case. Who knows? And I think these cars, those particular cars, were such unusual outliers in the market that I wasn't as surprised as a lot of people to see them reach the numbers that they got to. Like, there are a lot of red 599 GTOs. You're never going to find the very last, the weird color, the 0 mile. Like that car, for a lot of people, that car is going to check a very special box that is worth paying a lot of money for. However, at some of these auctions in the past, certainly there have been some things that have happened. And so there's always a little bit of question whenever something like this happens from some sectors of people.
Now, one thing I thought was really interesting was the 250 GTO sold for less than what was expected, while every other 2000s car sold for way more.
Yeah.
Are we seeing a shift away from older cars as younger buyers just don't relate to it?
Yeah, I mean, would you give up your Ford GT for a 60s? Is that something on your mind?
I would for that car.
For that car, sure. But you get my point.
For but if you told me a car from the 30s or 40s, I have zero connection to it.
Boomers muscle cars in the 08, 09, when boomers were like in the 06, 07, the muscle cars were up above $1 million and all that, and eventually it cycles out. And the 250 GTO is still a very special car that anybody, even in the next generation, will still find to be special, I think. However, the number of people for whom that is the holy grail will certainly decrease. It's not really usable. It's slow. It's old. It's etc. And you start to see people in younger generations appreciating the McLaren F1s and the Ferrari F40s and this kind of thing.
Yeah,
and that's going to continue.
What do you think will then be the future holy grail of car investing? Because for me, growing up, it was always like the Lamborghini Aventador. Like that was sick. I'm 27. Like when I was younger, like that was
those
the car.
Those types of cars will continue to increase, I think, or will at least drop a little bit more and then someday start to go back up. I think the McLaren F1 is the Ferrari 250 GTO of the next generation. It's already kind of proven that. Honestly, the production numbers are almost identical. There's about 65 road cars, which is basically the same as the number of overall 250 GTOs. And there's been a huge appreciation recently that doesn't seem to be abating. When the cars shot up in value, several people who owned them sold them pretty quickly, and they all got all the money. So like those are $25+ million cars now. I could see those going even higher.
So in terms of the average person watching this, they're probably not going to be able to afford a bunch of these cars.
Probably, yeah.
So in my case, I went out and I was like, I need a new car. I'm going to go buy a Tesla Model Y. In about 2 years, I've lost about 60% of the value. So I paid $58,000 all in for a Tesla Model Y. And I don't.
How'd you let him do this?
It's not even. I told him not to. I honestly, I've been for years. Just wait. You don't need it.
But he also has told me not to buy real estate, which I ended up buying. It did well for me. Okay, well, you were wrong last time.
Balances out. Okay, sure.
But for a lot of the people that want to apply this to their own life, obviously don't go out and buy a Tesla Model Y. But if you're around that price range of like, okay, $50,000 to $80,000 to $90,000, $100,000, what cars could they buy that they're going to make money on, or at least won't cost them money to drive?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because one of the things like Freddie says, the frivolous cars, I buy some of these frivolous cars. Like I've spent a lot of money on cars, but in all cases, I've lost less money on cars than you. Right, I got a car that costs $1 million, right?
Don't rub it in my face,
but it's pretty wild to think about, right? Like at the end of the day, that's a pretty crazy thing to think about. Like actually, I try to always think of things. You guys are probably the same way. Try to always think of things from a total cost of ownership perspective. Your Model Y is cheap to run. Right? Like you don't put in gas. There's not, oil changes. You don't have any of that stuff.
Write-offs. And like I did the math. And so sure, I could argue that I lost a lot of value, but in actuality, I ended up saving quite a bit of money.
But nonetheless, like depreciation is often overlooked, I think. And so I always caution people and so people think it's crazy that I have cars that cost this much. And meanwhile, they're saying that to me and they have a brand new BMW X7. And I'm sitting here thinking, your car actually costs more. Like when all is said and done, you will have spent more than I have. However, if you want to be in that price point and make some money or at least not lose, I mean, Porsches are really hot right now. And basically any manual transmission Porsche seems to be holding its value. From the 996, 911, which is kind of the redheaded stepchild that are in the $25,000, $30,000 range, all the way up to, 911 turbos and everything. There's a 911 for basically every price flavor. And I know it's not the most practical car, but if you're looking for a third car, as a fun car, you have your family, whatever, the kids are getting older, you want to have something to do on the weekends, that's a pretty easy way. Those are not particularly expensive to own, and they generally at least maintain value. I don't think you're going to see skyrocketing value numbers from any car in the $50,000, $60,000 range, but at least not losing, I think. And that, to me, that's like a huge, huge thing that I see it in my YouTube comments all the time. People are like, how can you say you can't I always talk about I can't afford this car, that car. People, how can you say you can't afford that? You have a Carrera GT. I can't lose $100,000 in depreciation. Like mentally, like it can't happen. And I think more people should be thinking that way.
Yeah, there was a viral Twitter thread that said it was cheaper to own a supercar than a budget car.
Yeah.
And people got so triggered from that. But then people started posting examples of, I bought this Huracan for this price and now it's worth this. I bought this Ferrari for this and this. Or an Audi R8. I bought this and now it's worth $30,000 more than what I paid for.
It takes money to get in there in the first place.
Yes.
And of course, those cars aren't practical. One of the real undercurrents of the whole thing is, what I can't do with my Carrera GT, even though I've made
speed bump,
carry my family, right? Like I still need to have those cars in addition to, so that's harder. But I think that is generally true, especially in the last 10 years. These supercars have been even kind of Huracans, which are not special, and they made a lot of them.
Yeah,
they've been holding their value unbelievably well, like crazy.
Everyone's always interested in my dating life. I mean, just look at these comments. A lot of you guys know I've been on all the dating apps, but to be honest, I actually stepped away from them. I didn't have the time or energy just to scroll endlessly. I didn't want to have the same surface level conversations over and over. And to be honest, it just felt like I was putting in a lot of energy without it moving forward. What stood out to me about our sponsor, The League, is how it just felt way more dialed in. You're not just scrolling through hundreds of random profiles. On The League, you get a small, curated, hand-picked set every single day. The League is extremely curated to keep the community high quality and intentional. You're not here to rack up matches, you're here to make the match that matters. Way less scrolling and way less small talk and more momentum towards something real. And now that my timing is better, that's exactly why I'm excited to get back on. The League is designed to move conversations towards real dates faster, so you're not stuck sending the message, "How was your weekend?" over and over again. Less noise, clearer signals, a smarter way to spend your time. The League. Find someone in yours. Apply today. So what would the argument then be for the single guy watching this who's 30 years old, maybe mid-20s, early mid-30s, to buy a new Camry instead of buying an old, cool car that's going to remain in value?
You should buy an Audi R8 from 2009.
That might be slightly different than a Camry price range, but like, let's say around like $35,000-$40,000.
I mean, the benefit of the Camry is you can go to any dealer, pick it up. You can go to any place to service it. You can get financed on it, which I think is a lot of the factor here, right? Like it's hard to get financing for some of these supercars. And those cars are cheap to own. Like the oil changes are cheap. These supercars ultimately can be expensive to own. And if things go bad, they can be punishing. If the motor fails in that car, that would be a $300,000+ repair. It's not going to happen with a Camry. The motor won't fail. You get a warranty. You know, it takes a level of sophistication, I think, to go out and actually trade in the supercar world, to know what you're doing, to actually not lose money. You have to kind of know which cars to buy, how to look for them, what to look for in terms of mileage, in terms of, you know, how they've been maintained, that kind of thing. And I think that's kind of what stops that person from doing that. And I like art. I know there are people out there who are making a ton of money on art. I don't know anything about art, so I stay out of it. But I know cars, and so I know that I can at least stay flat or make a little money on cars.
Now, when it comes to buying some of the hypercars, though, that we see in like the $1 to $5 million range, a lot of people are doing these leases now. Yeah. How is this working?
Stradman, you guys talk to James about that. I'm curious. He leased that Koenigsegg. His payments were like 30 G's a month. Crazy.
But my understanding, a lot of that goes towards principal.
Yeah.
With a big balloon payment at the end.
Like that's still a crazy monthly, right?
But it's deductible.
Yeah, in theory.
So for tax purposes, it seems like it would make a lot of sense.
Didn't Stradman get in trouble for trying to write it off? Yes.
No, not on that. Yeah.
There are, in a lot of cases, it's deductible, and that is what people are doing. I think there are some real benefits to it. I think there's a huge sales tax benefit too, because you don't pay sales tax up front. You pay kind of each month on the lease payment in most states. And so there are some benefits to doing it that way.
You're just seeing this Miami crowd right now go and buy like Koenigsegg's for like $3-4 million, drive them around.
There was a time to do that when rates were low. I just can't justify it mentally. Like I sit here and watch all these other people on YouTube doing this stuff, and I'm like, damn, I'm jealous. Like I could have some of the cars I've always wanted if I was just willing to go into crazy debt or do crazy stuff like that, but I'm just not.
Speaking of that, I want to get your reaction to this.
Oh boy.
We got a funny one.
What's going on, folks? It's your boy Steve-O Got Me Rolling.
And Ashley Got Me Rolling.
Today, we got our dog Gino approved on this 22 C8 Corvette. Gino, how was your experience, man?
Yeah, y'all already know where to come from, you know what I'm saying? Right here, what's it at, man? You know what I'm talking about? Right here. Nowhere else. Y'all know what's going on.
How much did you put down?
Shit, like 1,200.
$1,200 on a C8, y'all.
Nice job, Gino.
ID mail. We don't ask for too much. Do we have to pay pesos or anything?
No, sir.
Smooth, easy process in and out. If you're in the market for a vehicle or you need your ID mail, shoot it to DM right now.
Is this real?
Where is this? Yeah, real.
Dude, Gino's killing it.
And they have...
Clearly, he's driving a Corvette.
Oh, yeah.
Gino's killing it.
And they have regular cars, too. Anyway, there he goes.
He's driving off in his Corvette, 1,200 down. Gino's rocking it.
Does that worry you at all?
Yeah, but not more than it did. Not more than it always has. You know, there's always going to be fringe people financing fringe people. You know, that there will always kind of be a world and a market for crazy companies who are willing to finance crazy people at crazy numbers, and crazy people who are willing to take those deals.
But do you worry that longer financing terms are somewhat keeping the market from falling too much?
Yeah, there's probably an effect on that for sure. I wish that people would couple their longer financing term with owning the car for longer. A 7-year loan is like not the craziest thing. If you're a kind of dude who wants to keep a car 14 years, but my parents do that. They're still driving around 20-year-old cars. But what ends up happening instead is that people finance a car for 6-7 years and are underwater for the first 80% of the loan and get tired of the car a year in and roll the negative equity into the next car, to the point where, when I worked in car sales, you'd see people come in with negative equity that was like unfathomable. Like they're driving around in a $10,000 car, but they have 30 in negative equity. And it's like, how are you ever going to make that work?
I have a genius idea.
Yeah.
Car note backed securities. Oh yeah,
that sounds like a winner.
Yeah,
12% interest rates,
subprime, car notes into these securities.
There's got to be a fund who's doing it.
There probably is.
Yeah,
and honestly, the good stuff is good. Like most people are paying off their car loans, but then there's a lot of people who aren't.
How is someone able to roll that much negative equity into a car, though? Like a $10,000 car with a $30,000 payment attached to it.
I don't. That may be a ridiculous example, but there are absolutely situations like that. Part of it is the car loses a lot more value right away. Part of it is, they maybe the car, like the car had more equity initially, and then they crashed it a couple times. It's got a bad Carfax, and that stuff happens though. It's out there. So you got to just ride that out. You have to just keep driving the car.
So what are your thoughts on a 96-month car loan?
It depends on the loan, the rate. You give me 96 at 0, I'll take that.
Sure.
You're 96 at 2, I'll take that. But that's not what's happening.
Right.
Like people are taking it at market rate and they're using it to buy a full-size pickup truck. And that's not a great situation. There's no question. It's not a great situation. I think this goes into my total cost of ownership thing. Like I only see cars as total cost of ownership. Another trap that people get into is they only look at their monthly payment. Okay, it's $600 a month. I can afford that. Well, it's $600 a month until your baby child is 23 years old. That you're not thinking about that, right? You're not thinking about like the incredible length of time that some of these things can have, and the drawbacks that come with putting $1,200 down on a car that is heavily depreciating, like a C8, which is kind of in free fall right now.
How do you determine how much car you could afford?
Me?
Yeah. Or what is your advice for people when they're thinking about this?
People?
Is it a percentage of income? Is it a
Yeah, I don't get most of the people who come to me, my community, my friends, aren't really they're not really thinking about most of them are already financially savvy.
Yeah.
I don't get a lot of people who are saying, how much car can I afford? I have those conversations with people about houses sometimes. But how much car can I afford is not usually I don't know a lot of car enthusiasts, to be honest with you. And most of the dad down the street, he's not trying to stretch his budget. He just wants a 3-row SUV that he can, he can live with.
What's your recommendation? If a viewer comes to you and says, hey, Doug, how much car could I afford?
It depends a lot on a lot of things. How much are you willing to sacrifice? How much are you into cars, honestly? I have way more car than I should for my net worth, but I'm really into cars. And I get a lot of benefit from it. I think those are real questions that should be answered. Are you willing to sacrifice other stuff for car? So a lot of people would say, absolutely not. Okay, well then not that much. Get a Honda Accord, like there's a Prius, be rational. But if you can fit it into your income, I don't know, it depends on so many factors that it's hard to say, but I would be comfortable telling certain people to stretch if I really felt that they were going to be disciplined and if I really felt they were going to get a lot from that car. And I think that goes against a lot of traditional financial advice, but I understand what it's like to be passionate about something and to like an enthusiast of something. And I think there is some like real value to not being 70 and saying, I wish I had bought, life worked out great, but when I was young, it would have been cool to have a Corvette.
Yeah.
Like Gino.
Now, in the last podcast we did, we were talking about how EV subsidies are really pushing a lot of those people to buy EVs. And they got rid of that.
Yeah.
What's been the impact now that they got rid of the $8,000 tax credit?
Yikes. EV sales absolutely plummeted at the end of last quarter. I think there's been a couple of interesting impacts. Yeah. EV sales done. Like, it's hard to justify buying the cars at the price points they're at without some huge subsidy. That's not as true of the high-end EVs, which were not really covered by the subsidy in the first place. And so like Rivian and stuff seem to be doing about as well as they were. But your Teslas and your Mach-E's and your, these cars, it then comes down to the responsibility of the manufacturer to discount the car to a market correct price. And often that means they can't justify making it anymore. And so very quickly, several EVs were canceled immediately, brought off the market. And that's like the market factor. Something else we talk about a lot on our podcast is I'm always very disappointed. I don't want to get political, but I'm disappointed at the removal of the EV subsidies. I like gas cars. I own 6, 7 gas cars. I don't have an EV. However, the rest of the world is clearly ramping up on EVs. And I worry that by removing these subsidies, even though right now it means we can all buy the V8s we wanted, I definitely worry that in the global economy, America is falling behind. And I want America to win. And to me, like letting China, who is heavily subsidizing their EVs, continue to make technological leaps while America kind of rests on its laurels with V8s and things. Right now, it seems cool. In 20 years, it's not going to seem cool.
My understanding that with China, they're putting a lot of emphasis in battery technology that we're not quite doing here.
And a lot of that emphasis is because the Chinese government is subsidizing car manufacturers to unbelievable degrees. And so the result of that is that there's huge incentives for these companies to develop cars, to develop technology, and to sell these cars. And China is going global. China's selling in Canada now. China's selling in Mexico now. They're already all over Europe. You can't walk around Mexico and not see 20, 30 Chinese cars everywhere you're walking around. There are Chinese cars everywhere now. And that could have been America if we had played our cards right. And that makes me anxious for sure.
How good are Chinese EVs actually?
They're pretty good. We've had a few in the office. I've reviewed maybe 4, and they don't suck. Like, you think of Chinese stuff as kind of crappy, right? Like, you think of it as like lesser.
The thing growing up, it's like, oh, this is made in China.
Made in China.
Made in China.
It's going to break next week.
Yeah. That's not the case. The EVs were here. We had the SU7, which is like one of the big Tesla rivals in China, and we looked at what the price comparison is and the performance comparison and the features, and it's like there's no reason you would buy a Tesla in China.
So it's that much better than a Tesla.
And part of the reason is because there are huge government subsidies on the price point, and so they're able to sell these cars at. You can't compete with that. You literally cannot compete. But like, yeah, it's as good or better than a Tesla at a lot less money. Why would you not buy Tesla?
Isn't that though because they also stole a lot of the IP from Tesla and they copied it and they saved a whole bunch of R&D and then they just copied
although electric cars at their core are not as complicated. Yes. And China has gone above and beyond what any other automakers have done. Like there are Toyota 4Runner style EVs in China. There are crazy EV supercars that can jump, you know?
Yeah.
Like they are on a completely different, whether that was true or not, like they are now pushing in a new frontier that I definitely wish that I was seeing Chrysler and General Motors getting into, because I worry that we're going to see another like big auto industry decline in 30 years when eventually, finally, the floodgates open for China, or America just tries to continue to compete on a global scale and we can't do it anymore.
So what would it take to import a China EV car here?
If the automaker did it, there's like 100% tariff on Chinese cars, so they can't justify it right now. So there's essentially no Chinese cars for sale in the United States. The only thing that would realistically happen for that to change is the government would have to change. I mean, no one's got 100% margin, you know, like, and even then you're also coming up against some pretty significant political headwinds. There's a lot of Americans who don't want to buy a Chinese product. We talked about this on our pod a couple weeks ago. Like ultimately you can't, it's different than when Korea showed up with the Hyundais in the 80s. Like Americans, I think, were probably neutral about Korea. Americans aren't neutral about China. So not only do you have this product that is 100% tariffed, but then you also have to convince people that China is not the enemy. And people in the States are pretty hard-coded to believe that China is the enemy. So that's a tough thing to fight against. But I'll tell you, you go to Mexico where cost is a much bigger factor in vehicle purchases. They're buying Chinese cars. You know, like they look at these things and they're looking at the numbers and the horsepower and the electric range, and they're like, you know, I'm just going to buy. It's cheaper. It's affordable. I'm going to do it.
So I'm curious though, speaking of range, why can't we get EVs past 500 miles?
Yeah. I mean, there's probably battery limitations. This goes too technical for me. There's probably but I will also say one of the things I've discovered is talking to the automakers at all the press launches is that there's not actually demand for it. Like you think there would be.
I would think there would be.
I drive every summer. I drive the East Coast and back, and I'll do 1,200 miles in a day. I would love a 1,200 mile EV, but most people don't do that. And what they're finding is that in order to get those extra, even above 350, in order to get those extra miles, there's a significant cost component. There's a significant weight component that you then have to engineer against, right? You have to make the car faster. And as a result of that, and then you're basically making a luxury car. You have to because of the added cost of more batteries. People don't really need it. There are some people who do. But I think the automakers would kind of consider them fringe people. And with EVs, you kind of have to go after the middle of the bell curve because the bell curve's already pretty small.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it'd be cool as hell if someone came out with, like 1,000-mile EV. I would buy it. But how many other people would? And how many people would spend what that would cost?
Sure.
You know?
And what do you think the impact is going to be now that silver prices are hitting like $115 an ounce on batteries?
What an unusual business to be in, having to figure out pricing these vehicles where you're not only have to figure out suppliers and tariffs, but also metals.
Yeah.
I'm curious what effect that'll have for sure. You know, the automakers can never really be as dynamic with pricing as they wish they could be to account for things like that. But you have to assume that'll be another thing that increases prices.
Yeah, imagine dynamic pricing that changes by the day depending on what the metals are worth within the car.
The automakers would kill for it, right? But people would be up. I mean, it'd be insane.
Or like peak pricing at like, you know, 4th of July pricing is like a little more.
Right,
and then like, you know, Black Friday sale demand goes up. It just like changes a little bit.
Why can't they adjust prices that quickly?
I presume that, well, for one thing, it's difficult for advertising. I mean, messaging and advertising, you got to tell the people this is what it costs, you know? People would also just generally be up in arms, not knowing what the thing is
like
worth.
The stock market, like
but
trying to figure out the best price to buy.
Right. I think there's also regulatory components to it too. I mean, the automaker has to print the window sticker by law and stick on the thing the actual price of the car. I mean, I guess they could update that daily, but you know, then you get into kind of a menu prices thing. Like, you really have to then be adjusting all sorts of crap. But mostly, I think people just wouldn't put up with it. I think they would just go buy the rival who they know what the price is.
What do most people, do you think, get wrong about the car market?
I think, at least from a consumer perspective, I really think that depreciation is one of the primary things people get wrong about the car market. I think that people just think depreciation is going to be a thing that happens to them, and they don't take steps to minimize it like they should.
What cars do you think are going to skyrocket in price?
It's hard to say because so many cars have already. But I really think that, like, this, unfortunately, the same supercars that have already been increasing, I think will only continue to increase, which I think primarily is analog cars. There's this amazing intersection. We were just talking. There's an amazing intersection of performance and modernity that happened between about 1995 and about 2008. And to me, that's like the sweet spot for cars. And I think that those cars are going to continue to go up. It was like before hybrids, before screens, before automatic transmissions, cars were still analog. And yet they don't, like 80s cars that have all that stuff are kind of slow and they're kind of finicky. There was a period where cars were both reliable and fast, but still kind of, you could control it, like the Ford GT. Cars in that realm. I think those cars will continue to find a lot of interest.
Now, really quick, I gotta say that when you're growing a business, it seems like the smart move to do everything yourself until you realize that real growth comes from hiring the right people. The thing is, realistically, there's only so much you could do yourself in any given day. And that's why our sponsor, Upwork Business Plus, is there to help.
Instead of spending weeks trying to hire or digging through countless resumes, they send you a short list of vetted people in just hours. And these are people that really know how to do the work. Whether it's marketing, design, AI work, or something you just don't have the time for, with Business Plus, you can access the top 1% of talent on Upwork, people that actually remove work from your plate without blowing up your team.
This honestly takes a lot of the friction out of hiring. You're not scrambling, you're not guessing, and you're not defaulting to, I'll do it myself again.
It lets you focus on the stuff that actually moves the business forward.
So visit Upwork.com right now to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow.
That is UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. There's also a link down below in the description. You could just click it right there. Thank you so much to Upwork for sponsoring this video. What's the one car that you can't believe has gotten so expensive?
There's a few. Some of the Porsches I'm really astonished by. When I was a kid, 80s air-cooled Porsches were like $15,000 cars. And some of those cars, just a run-of-the-mill 911 that they made tens of thousands of. It's like $100,000 for some of these things now. And that doesn't compute with me mentally. Like, I don't understand. Like, I get why the turbos are, and I get why the GT3s are. Those are special. But like an 85 911, like when I was a kid, they were just cars. And I hate to say it, but like, they're not just cars even now. Like, there's a lot of them, and they're not that fast. But I've been really surprised at the interest in Porsche. Porsche is an automaker that has gone hard after volume in the last 20 years, and you would think it would negatively impact them, but the opposite has happened. I'm not really sure how.
I heard, though, that they said that sales are declining.
Yeah, Porsche's had some trouble because they went real hard on EVs, and now they're trying to figure out what the next step is there. But if you look at so over the last 18 months, it's been troublesome. But if you look at a 20-year chart, it's pretty crazy. From Porsche, sales were here in 05 to here in 25, and yet there's only been more interest in people paying more money for them, right? Like it doesn't make sense. You see now Porsches everywhere. People at Macans are cheap, right? Anybody can get Macans are like around, but that hasn't stopped people from paying $700,000 for certain versions of 911s, even though they wear the same badge. Imagine if Ferrari had a $48,000 SUV. Like people would be like, that would destroy the brand. But somehow Porsche has escaped that in this very weird way.
You mentioned the speed that the Porsche drives and like the performance of that car and how you're surprised it's going for the price it is with that performance. I wonder, won't we get to a point where just every car is going sub 2, 0 to 60? Like at a certain point, you don't want a car that can go 0 to 60 in half a second.
Right. No, totally.
And where do you draw the line? And then after you have performance dialed in, every car is 1,000 horsepower. Right. They have crazy torque. Right.
What's fun? What makes a car special?
Is it just the look?
That's I think the big question that everybody's been at. And that, to me, that's one of the reasons why I love my old Lamborghini, my Countach, which is slow. But it's a carbureted V12 and it sounds like nothing in the world and it looks like nothing in the world.
Old.
It gives you an experience that you cannot get from modern cars. So your Tesla.
But they're not going to purposely make a modern car slow,
which is why I think that's one of the things that will continue to drive interest and excitement in these older cars. To the Porsche example specifically, though, like, the car doesn't have to be fast, but like those are slower than minivans. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking for at least a little performance.
It sounds like you really have a gripe with this car. Have you driven one?
Yeah.
And how was that?
It's fine. It's just not $100,000. It's not $100,000.
Yeah.
I will say though, in my mind, I have recently started to have to kind of come to terms with the fact that like what is $100,000. What is $300,000 to me in my head is not really what it is anymore, right? Like to me, a Ford GT for a long time was a 250 car. Well, that's not true. It's a 450 car. And so like that Porsche, maybe that's what $100,000 is now. And maybe I'm the one who's just slow to adjust. If you look at where prices are, the $100,000 that could have bought you a very special car 15 years ago, it can't buy you that special of a car anymore.
And so that could inflate the prices of older cars that still have this variability in terms of character and how they run.
I think that'll be the one thing that modern cars, like you say, they're not going to engineer that into modern cars anymore.
I think they will, because I think over the next 10 to 20 years, we're going to see this retro comeback where they're going to have old styles like the old Thunderbird and like that cool 50s
but that's not
to
mechanical.
60s.
That is purely visual.
Yes, because I think every car is going to be at some point in the future the same 0 to 60, the same niceness, the same luxury. There's not going to be that much more new. And so if they just repeat what worked in the past and they put, like I saw that Tesla 300 SL and everyone was saying, I would drive that. That is so cool. I don't care. It looks awesome. I think they could just redo that. They take old cars and they make them new with new modern equipment, and that's it.
There's no doubt there will be some component of that. Back in the day, creating a Thunderbird involved spinning up a powertrain and a chassis. Well, that stuff doesn't exist anymore. There are no chassis. Every car is the same basic platform. Powertrains are, they're like Legos. And so really it just does come down a lot to style. But to your point, it isn't mechanical. Like if what you're looking for is the mechanical feel, and I think that's what I love so much about the Countach, they probably won't replicate that. They are doing some of it. Those Hyundais now have this fake shifting in electric cars. So it feels like you're shifting. You don't have a manual and a pedal, but you have paddles and the car like hesitates a little.
Does it actually?
Does
it give you like a little boost?
Yeah, they engineer that in, even though it's totally fake. And honestly, it feels amazing. It feels like you're driving a good hot hatch, like with a gas engine. And so maybe they'll do some of that stuff. I actually think what you're going to start seeing from EVs is because all the cars are going to drive basically the same, they're going to start getting weird with what they can offer. Like you're going to see fish tanks in cars. You're going to see, like, automakers are going to have to do different things to delineate cars that were once separated by a powertrain or a feel all the cars are going to feel the same. So how do you distinguish them? Weird stuff. like weird stuff.
So it's all visual, is what you're saying.
Visual
and
or
some features.
Or like
and
weird things you can do while you're driving. Is there going to be like the rear seats in the center and the fold down thing have like an air hockey? I'm dead serious. I truly think car companies have got to be thinking about stuff like that, because I think that's going to be the future of well, that car has a
bowling
a video
alley.
game display or whatever. Yeah, right. Like I really truly think that kind of stuff's going to
do you think people are even going to be driving in the future?
Yeah.
Like,
and so then
I took this Waymo. Oh my gosh. And I took it from Santa Monica to West Hollywood for a podcast. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was great.
And so then start thinking about what they could do to distinguish the cars. You could put it in a bowling alley. You could put it on a basketball court. Like not really a court, but like you could
football field.
You get what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
you could put in a golf sim, absolutely, right? And you can only stand up and do it while you're on the freeway or at stoplight. I don't know how it would work, right? You'd have to, or you're strapped in some way. But like if you're not even driving, the sky's the limit on the crazy stuff that you could put in cars. I see no reason why that doesn't happen in 25, 35, 45 years.
So then what would be the point of buying a car at that point?
Yeah, maybe cars will just be stuff that you hail and it comes to your house or whatever. My general feeling is that people enjoy owning stuff, especially stuff that they need to rely on. But there will definitely be people, I think, in that world that probably won't, much more than today.
Yeah.
I think there are already people who get away with not owning cars in some of these places that people do it in New York and Tokyo where public transportation is great. Take it one step more. What if private transportation was great too?
I think the concept of ownership will never not be desirable, because we were actually just talking to someone about they wanted to buy a house, or they didn't want to buy a house because it'd be cheaper to rent. Their wife wanted to buy a house, and they were having this like argument back and forth. There was Graham trying to rent a car from the local car rental company. He was like smooth talking the guy to get us a deal. Thank you, Graham.
Yeah,
but the guy was basically lamenting.
Talking real estate.
And he's like, yeah, but my wife loves the concept of like owning a home. And I tell her, no, it's not worth it. It's more worth the rent. Doesn't matter. People will be driven by their emotions. They're always going to want to own a home, even if it's objectively cheaper to rent. Same thing goes for cars.
I think so too, probably. I think, right now car ownership is some probably crazy percentage in the United States. I could see it declining significantly, but I think there will always be a big market for that. Do people stop you and ask for financial advice? Does that happen a lot?
A lot.
A lot of people they won't ask for advice, but they'll just here's everything.
Or they tell me their life story. I know their income, their net worth, their trajectory, what they're invested in, where they're investing.
I love that.
And the most common is, what do you think of the market right now? It's always that question. Or how's the housing market
Predict the
going?
future for
what
us.
do you think? What do you think's going on right
Tell
now?
them and say, what do you think of the market right now? Are you just like, I don't know?
I give them a broad answer. Well, it could go up, but it could go down. Nothing surprises me.
That's a broad answer.
Nothing surprises me anymore. I don't try to predict anything. It's just because I could be wrong, and anything can happen on a moment's notice.
Right. Yeah.
Now I'm curious, because Jack was looking at BMW i8s the other day.
Cheap.
What car could Jack buy and drive for free?
Probably not those, because I think those are still going down.
Okay.
But you could probably buy those and drive cheap. I mean, those are now like
low
what?
40s.
Yeah, you look at the curve and there's not much curve left. Like the car's never going to be worth 12. So like there's some, but buy and drive for free. I mean, yeah, like I was saying, Porsches for sure. Like I think like 2000s era Porsches, those kind of things are definitely not going down. I think a lot of kind of cars like that, just sort of that analog, if you can stomach doing that, driving a kind of old school, doesn't have CarPlay, has some miles on it kind of car, you can get away with owning some of that stuff pretty cheap.
I would be down to upgrade my fun car right now, which is the Mazda Miata. I've had it for years. It's just had nonstop issues.
Really?
Surprisingly, yeah. Usually they're pretty reliable cars, but mine has just been such a pain in the butt. And so I would be open to upgrading. Graham was trying to convince me of an R8, of an old Gallardo.
Yeah.
And another one was the i8, because that one's pretty inexpensive.
Look incredibly cool. They actually drive better than people say. But it's definitely more of a look car.
I'd be concerned about reliability.
Yeah, I would be a little bit concerned about that too. Although we get them submitted to us on Cars and Bids with like real miles, and that's like my proxy. If they come in with real miles, they probably are not that unreliable. But that doesn't mean they won't be in the next 5 years. Like it's still technology that is kind of sketch. Gallardos are early Gallardos are thought to be unreliable. I don't share that thought. I know people who have had them and have had pretty good experiences.
Interesting. I heard it was like the second gen.
That's what people say.
2006 on is what
That's what
I
people
heard.
say.
Yeah.
But the 0405 cars, in my opinion, were like best of breed. It was like the that was like the car. Like when I was a kid, that came out when I was 16.
Yeah.
Like that was those wheels, like the Cassiopeia wheels that were on the original, like a yellow Gallardo, like that was the car, you know? Like Lambo had an entry level car, was a huge deal. Like, but most people I know who have had Gallardos have not really had significant issues, and some people have driven a lot. And R8s, everyone I know with an R8 doesn't have problems, and they enjoy it. However, that car is more sanitized for sure. Like when you're in an R8, then you're starting to get a little bit more towards rational cars. And the question is, how rational do you want to go?
But that's what makes it so great, because you could daily it.
You could,
and just drive
but
it.
you will never get you'll never get the same feel as, you know, if you had a Lambo, walking out to your Lambo, you know, or even maybe an i8 because it's so cool looking. The R8 is total, but you know, there's this sort of spectrum of crazy but unusable and totally normal, like a Prius. You know, the R8 starts to get you know, you don't want to go too far on that spectrum if you want something that you actually enjoy.
So on the flip side, what car should someone absolutely stay away from?
It depends on what you're trying to stay away from. Like, is reliability your fear? Like
for me, it's like I do not want anything that distracts me from my day-to-day. If I'm working on the business, if I have, you know, I have my taxes to keep in order, I have my house to keep in order, I have my business, I have my relationships. I don't want a car that's just going to be calling me out all the time, or I have to go do this, go run that errand.
Well, yeah, I mean, then you probably don't want a Lambo or an i8. Like, that's a big thing for me. I have my old Lambo. I have this edict that I don't drive it when I have somewhere to be.
Yeah,
which is when you have a car, that's not really
just driving it. It's a full immersive.
It's the whole thing, and it might break down. But yeah, I mean, that's what I think. Honestly, that's one of the reasons that people love Porsches so much, is because they really do provide the experience and the enjoyment, but they're really usable. And I have spent a lot of time with a lot of other cars trying to replicate that overall feeling of usability and enjoyment. And there's not a lot of cars that really do that. But in terms of like staying, you don't want to then go. In your case, you don't want to go too old. You know, 90s starts to get, those cars are getting old, stuff's breaking in those cars. You don't really want to get older than that. You don't want to get unproven. I mean, the i8 plug-in stuff is, do you really want to be responsible for an out of warranty car that cost 130 grand when it was new and used kind of futuristic technology then? I don't know. You know, you want to avoid that kind of stuff for sure. You want to get like well-maintained, relatively lower mile examples of stuff that's just, you know, usable kind of cars, basically. I wouldn't go after, I wouldn't go after a Viper. That car's like a lot. It's a lot to handle. It's a lot to deal with. They're actually pretty reliable, but it's a lot. It's not a car you're trying to be focused in with your daily task.
What car wins in the sub $30,000 category? Graham would say the S2000.
S2000?
Oh, I love the S2000.
I really love it too.
A high mileage Lotus Elise.
Yeah, which are in that range. Yeah. Although I would still rather have an S2000.
Really?
The Elise is cool as hell, but I had one and it's so fragile. You always feel like you're going to damage it.
No, I never felt that way.
Yeah, people tell you not to grab the windshield when you're climbing in because
you might break it.
I mean, think about that.
I mean, but just don't do that.
Think about that.
That's like saying don't stand on the car.
Nobody's ever said that about my Toyota Sequoia. Like, oh, don't grab onto part of it. You might break
no, don't
car.
touch that. Yeah, you're gonna crack the windshield.
S2000 is a great one because they are dead reliable and they are dead flat in value and they are so much fun to drive. Miatas are good, honestly. ND Miatas are really desirable cars. What year is yours?
Mine's 2000.
So MB. NDs are amazing cars, and you can get the nicest one in the world for under 30. In fact, new they're like only 20, 31.
That's what I was thinking. It's like I just get a new Miata.
But I would probably rather have an S2000 than a new Miata.
Yeah.
Even though from a power perspective, the S2000 is, at the time it was like a rocket ship, and now it's like, not feeling that way anymore. But that's probably what I would probably get a new S2000. I like a good Firebird. I like a good like 02 Firebird WS6. Really let the Nebraska out of me, Those are big V8s.
Yeah.
They look cool. You can get a lot of Mustang for 30 also. Like a lot of Mustang. V8 manual. Those are cool cars. They drive well too. Modern Mustangs drive really well. I don't know if... Yeah, I would probably rather have a Mustang than an S2000,
really?
Depending on how new I could get it. Yeah.
Don't the Mustangs have the stereotype, though, of always being at the car meets and getting in accidents?
Totally. But S2000s have a stereotype, right?
What's the S2000?
Oh,
no, I don't know.
Like the tuner culture, like, oh, you're one of those tuner kids. Like, like there's I feel like every car has something. I will say for 30, if I'm trying to buy something fun, I would definitely focus on American or Japanese. The Euro cars you can get for 30 are going to break your heart. Like, they're awesome. They're awesome. Like E92 M3s and even Porsches are getting into that range, Boxsters and Caymans, but they're all going to be more expensive to own and kind of deal with compared to the American and Japanese stuff. Now, if you got an ND, we go back to depreciation, right? You spend 30 grand on an ND. Early NDs are $14,000 cars. So instead of paying the money in repairs, you're going to probably lose it depreciation. So you got to find like the kind of mixed medium there.
What do you think is the biggest head turner that you could buy for $25,000, $50,000?
I'm about to do a video on this.
$100,000, $250,000, and $1 million.
Okay, 25. You can buy JDM fire trucks, Japanese market fire trucks, all day long. So it's a Toyota Land Cruiser. The back half is cut off, and instead, fire equipment. They're bright red. They have 6,000 miles because they were used in Japan, which is compact, to fight fires. So they would go down the road, fight a fire, come home 2 miles every day. You can buy one of those all day long for 25. If you want to turn heads,
wow,
that's what you do. 50. You know what turns heads at 50? There was a car called the T-Rex, which looks like
a motorcycle.
Yeah, it's like a motorcycle car kind of situation. That turns a lot of heads for 50. It looks like the Polaris Slingshot, but it's like even crazier, and it's a more focused driving experience. That definitely would turn a lot of heads for 50. I think those are like in the 30s. Getting above that, 75, 100, like, I really feel that one of the biggest head turners in that price range is a Lotus Esprit, which I think turn as many heads as a Countach for 1/6 of the money, and they are awesome to drive. Servicing is a different conversation for sure. Those are difficult cars to own, but that car turns all the heads. It's got the same low, flat, wide feel as a Countach, the same wedge shape. Very, very special cars. And I don't understand why they haven't taken off. Later ones used a V8. They actually have a lot of power. They're actually really fun to drive. And despite the fact that they had a V8 and they were bigger, they kind of drive like an Elise.
Yeah.
Above that, like the $1 million price point, if you want to turn the
Let's do the 250. 250 range. So 150 to 300.
250, you can get McLarens at 250 and Huracans that still turn heads, although not, it depends where you live. Like, you drive a Huracan around Miami, probably in Vegas. Nobody looks at those,
Everyone thinks they're a rental.
Everybody thinks they're a rental. Yeah. And nobody really looks at them. Even $1 million's hard. Like, whose head are we trying to turn? Like $1 million, the Jaguar XJ220. Right?
Yes.
If I saw one of those on the road, I would literally do anything to turn around and go get I would kill someone to go and turn around and go get a picture and like talk to the dude. But a lot of people I don't think would notice it. Like, it's an older car.
Yeah.
If you're trying to turn like general heads, the Countach does an amazing job of it, and they're under $1 million. It is incredible to me how many people freak out when they see a Lamborghini Countach. That there are cars like that one that have gone beyond the automotive enthusiasm and have reached like cultural icon status, like a DeLorean, honestly.
Yeah.
That's another car that probably should be
a
mentioned.
DeLorean would be
That's a good
People
one.
freak out when they see a
Yeah.
DeLorean or a
Back to the Future
Countach
car.
or certain cars that Hummers, like everybody knows what an original military Hummer, like there are certain cars that just like permeated the cultural zeitgeist beyond just the automotive one. And those cars always bring a lot of attention. I'm stunned how many people freak out about the Countach. People just really, really, really are so excited.
What's the craziest reaction you've gotten in the Countach?
I had a guy almost hit the car in front of him. I've never had someone actually do that, but he was like this close. He was in an MC Miata. But people they absolutely lose it. They get so excited. They're following you, taking pictures, that kind of stuff. And
have you had any like scary moments though?
I don't love like some of the risks people are willing to take to get photos of some of the cars, for sure. People are sometimes a little bit excessive, and it's like, crossing crazy traffic or whatever, trying to get the right angle shot, hanging out of cars. And that does scare me a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I had a really scary moment. You know those little like motorcycle gangs?
Yeah.
Where there's like 50 of them and they do like a street takeover. Yeah. The one time I was driving the Ford GT, guess what? I make a right onto this very wide 4-lane street going up from the strip, and immediately behind me, I see all of these kids in those weird like little motorcycle things.
Yep.
And they blow through the red light.
Yeah.
And they're catching up to me, and I'm like, oh, shit.
You're thinking, oh my God, the mirrors aren't in production anymore.
No.
They fell off.
And literally, they surrounded the Ford GT surrounded it. And they were driving straight, but the kid was like back like this and not looking, taking a video of the car. And all the kids, I didn't tell you, all the kids were going nuts over this thing and then yelling at me like, rev it, rev it, rev it, do this, do a burnout like this. And I'm just sitting there.
Do it?
No, you think I did? I was surrounded. There's like 40. They were all in front of me. And there's a red light, and I'm like slowing down to the red light. I'm wondering, are they going to slow down too? And they slowed down with me at the red light, and they stopped at the red light to look at the car, and they're taking videos. And they got the light turned green, and they went forward, and they went ahead of me. But for a moment there, I was petrified that like all it takes is one of them to just flip over.
Yep.
And then they're 10 feet in front of me, if that, and I hit one of them.
Right. That car scares me because so many parts are not available anymore.
Yeah.
As long as you like keep it shiny side up and you like keep it moving, it's like all good. But like any accident, it's like you're like years into figuring out how to deal with that. And that scares me about that car.
Yeah.
I am surprised how much interest that car brings. In my world, among my cars, I'm very privileged to say that it's like my beater supercar. Like it's the one I drive to tennis. It's the one I pick up the dog from doggy daycare. And often I forget how special it is out in the real world.
You never see them.
You never see them anymore.
I never see them anymore.
And people don't let me forget. Like I'll be driving it just like this is my Bluetooth air conditioning. And that's another thing. It's a pretty drivable car.
It is.
So it's not like some of these cars that like you're making so many compromises to use it that you are being constantly reminded what you're driving. Ford GT is pretty usable. And so I'll be sitting there driving it, the dog's next to me or whatever. I just picked up the mail and people like freaking out. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in the Ford GT. I forgot.
It's the perfect car, though. I mean, it's like the cultural icon of that time. It's American.
Yep.
It's got a
built
V8,
in America too.
Built in America. Got the V8, drivable, reliable, and it's Ford.
Yep.
And the parts. I mean, the parts that you can find are cheap.
Very reasonable.
Like I had to replace the little struts for the back thing, and it was like $100 and something for the part, and then plus like an hour of labor.
Yeah. The only drawback to that car that I think would make it like the perfect car, there's no storage at all. Be nice to have a little storage.
Sure.
Just a little.
But I can't see how that wouldn't be worth $1 million one day.
Yeah. The only thing potentially keeping it back is production numbers. It's that car hangs in a weird place. Most of the other supercars that have gone up like it has, their production numbers are in the 1 to 2,000 unit range. And then you have cars like the Aventador or the Huracan that were kind of built without regard to production number, that were just built as many as they could sell. There's actually not a lot of supercars in the 4 to 6,000 range. Yeah. The BMW Z8 is another one that's kind of has this weird in that production range, and the market has never really known how to treat that car. It's very cool. It's very special. However, there's a lot of them. The Ford GT seems to have beaten out. Like it's worth more than it should be given how many there are and how available they are, just because I think it is so special and the design is so special. And it is unbelievable that they were able to make the 60s car with all the modern regulations still look like that. But I agree with you. I think that car continues to be valuable. I sometimes think about selling mine because I have these other cars, but it's like, why? It's going up. It costs nothing to own, and I still love using it.
Tavares was bothered that Graham never drives his Ford GT. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you should do what you want. I love driving mine, but I get why you would not want to. I think you should drive it some. It's enjoyable.
I do. I drive it on average 15 miles a month.
Yeah. Which is what a lot of people...
Which is really just... we got a good... It's called the Red Rock Loop. You take it on the loop, pull it back, and park it.
The truth is, like, I'm no longer bothered by people's use cases with their vehicles unless... except in very specific circumstances. Like, there are enough 2-mile plastic still on them Ford GTs that if you wanted to use it, like, it's not like you're ruining a cultural icon. However, there's value in that car, and if you want to have something cool while also preserving value, there's a reason not to use it. And there will always be guys like me who have driven ours a crazy number, and so those are also available to buy if you want. Like, do what you want. I don't gatekeep that stuff anymore.
What do you think about buying the new Ford GT? Because it seems like if they come down to a certain price, it just makes sense to buy,
Have you driven
right?
one?
No.
I like ours. Given the choice, I'd rather have ours. I like, first off, the new Ford GT is really cool. It looks cool. And it drives well, but the driving experience is simply too compromised. The car is rough. It's hard to get in. It's hard to get out. It's hard to do anything in that car. You're sitting inches away from the person next to you. It's incredibly low. There's a lot of compromises. Number one. Number two, the dealers are already trying to wash their hands clean of that car. That car was manufactured at this facility in Canada that is known for building complicated stuff. And that car is complicated stuff. And we're going to see a situation where there are not going to be able and willing participants in the servicing of that car as it goes on. But also, it's just too race car. Like, at least for me, I like my cars. This car and the Ford GT are very similar in this way. That I like my cars to be like fun, and that car is punishing. Like, maybe I'm too old, but like
you're describing my Lotus Exige S240 though. Like everything you mentioned about it was what I loved about that Exige.
Well, then maybe you'd be into the new Ford GT. Like, there definitely are people who are into that aspect of it. I like a car that is more usable. I like an NSX. I like a Ford GT, an 05. I like the Carrera GT. I like stuff that is like big enough for a person and usable. I like an SLS. I like, that kind of stuff. I also really am a big fan of buying supercars from manufacturers that make regular cars. I think that means that they get tested better and they're released in a better way and they're more reliable. So in that sense, it might work. But I'm anxious about how Ford GT ownership will go. 2017 to 21 Ford GT ownership will go over time. I definitely think the dealers, once those are out of warranty, the dealers are going to want nothing to do with that car.
Now, really quick, we have all been frustrated with shaving. You have expensive refills, blades that dull fast, clogs easily, or cause irritation. For something we do regularly, it's surprisingly outdated.
With that said, a quick thank you to Harry's for sponsoring this episode. Harry's Plus was built as a modern alternative to traditional razors, focusing on better materials, stronger design, and more reasonable pricing.
The razor uses a solid metal handle for added control, along with a pivoting head that moves naturally around your neck and jaw.
The blades are German engineered, honed at 3 different angles, and spaced to help them glide smoothly instead of clogging. There's also a lubricated strip with aloe and vitamin E to help reduce irritation.
Harry's also owns their own blade factory in Germany, which allows them to cut out the middleman and keep costs down without sacrificing quality.
I mean, just take a look at this, guys. When I used to shave right here on my neck, because I like to keep a straight edge, okay? I like to keep it nice and lined up. I used to get irritation. That's because I have very sensitive skin. Sorry. But then I switched to Harry's, and check this out. Tell me if you see any irritation now. And if you don't love your shave, they'll make it right, no questions asked, so it's practically risk-free just to try it out. For a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for just $10 at harrys.com/iced. You get the Plus razor, a 5-blade cartridge, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover.
Again, that's harrys.com/iced. The code and link are on the screen, as well as down below in the description, and make sure to tell them that we sent you. Enjoy. Now, when Jack and I first started the Iced Coffee Hour, we had to figure out everything ourselves, from the best cameras to use, the best editing equipment, how to get guests. Every day was a brand new challenge. That's why if you're starting or growing your own business, you know how valuable today's sponsor is, and that would be Shopify. Shopify is basically your all-in-one business partner, and they power huge names like Gymshark and Mattel to everyday entrepreneurs just getting started. Also, fun fact, if you've shopped online lately, chances are you've done business with Shopify because they power 10% of all American e-commerce. What's great about Shopify is that you get access to a complete design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates to build a beautiful online store that perfectly matches your brand. There's no coding needed, and their AI tools even help you write product descriptions and enhance your product photos. Shopify also makes marketing easy with simple email and marketing campaigns to reach your customers wherever they're scrolling. Plus, they handle everything from inventory to shipping to returns, all the complicated stuff that chances are you don't want to deal with. Start your business today with the industry's best business partner, Shopify, and start hearing. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/ICH. Go to shopify.com/ICH. Again, that's shopify.com/ICH. Thanks again to Shopify for sponsoring this episode.
I think we asked you this last time, but I'm curious to know your answer this time around, which is, what car has the most miles per gallon?
Like literally per gallon or just like per dollar?
Like per dollar, basically.
I mean, how is it not Miata S2000 kind of thing? Those cars, I often think to myself that if I didn't have an ego and need to be driving around in like the car that wins Cars and Coffee, like I could get a Cayman GT4, a Boxster Spider, an S2000, a Mustang GT, a Shelby GT350. Honestly, that's a really nice car. There's a lot of those cars, but they're never going to like turn heads. But all those cars provide like real fun for not crazy money. I would get any one of them, I think, of those cars, and probably a bunch more would be fun. A nice Hellcat would be cool too.
Those are fast.
They're fast.
I'm curious, what car brands do you think just keep getting better and better and better and really focused on improving themselves?
Most of them, I would say, do. However, some in a different way than others. A lot of enthusiasts would be upset at BMW because although BMW has improved in a lot of ways over the last 30 years, they've kind of left behind what was once a core for them. But the cars are great. Audi continues to do a great job improving. I think Mercedes-Benz technology and comfort and refinement is probably better now than at any point in their history. And there's not a lot of car companies I would point to right now as the very best time in their history. And I actually think that Mercedes-Benz is in that place right now. I think there are a few brands that I think that are not refining and improving quite as well. Often I find it actually to be a bit of a trait of the Japanese brands that don't really take kind of some of the risks that the other ones do. I have a Toyota. I love it dearly. It's not a tech leader, same with Honda. The Koreans are clearly at the very forefront, and they are clearly always refining and always really trying new stuff and weird stuff and seeing what sticks in kind of an admirable way. You look at basically every other brand and they have a very similar design language and the cars aren't that different. And Koreans are like, we'll do a weird boxy thing here and we'll do a circle thing here and we'll just see what people like and we'll do weird technology and maybe it'll stick and maybe it won't. And that's kind of been special. And the sales numbers speak for themselves. Those cars have been popular.
Who's buying the brands right now like Lincoln, Cadillac, Chrysler, Buick, Jaguar, Saturn? Do they still do Saturn?
No.
Saturn.
No, but it's okay. It's only been 18 years since the last Saturn rolled off the floor. You just missed it.
Saturn dealerships, and it's been a while.
I wonder then, will they go up in value?
No, they only made disposable trash.
See, I like the Saturn Sky.
Sky was good. The Sky was good.
That was the one that I
might
remember.
actually.
I was 15 or 16 when that car came out. I thought that was
those
the
were
coolest
fun.
car.
There was a turbo version of that with 260 rear-wheel drive horsepower. Ultimately, Miata that was a cool car. Who's buying those? I don't know. Those brands are tough. They're in a tough spot. Lincoln especially, because it's sad. They really wanted to invest in Lincoln and they should have invested a little more. Lincoln actually makes some good cars, but they're not finding a lot of buyers. Chrysler in general is in a lot of trouble. Cadillac is trying to really revitalize.
Yes.
They got Formula One now. At the end of the day, Escalade will always be a big success, and they've always tried to build on that, and I think they're actually in an okay place right now. Cadillac leaned a little too far into electric, though, and I think that might hurt them. But there are people for those cars, but those brands they haven't, for 50 years, they haven't quite been as strong as European and Japanese rivals.
Cadillac, I thought throughout the 70s and 80s was supposed to be like the Rolls Royce of American cars.
Yeah, I mean, in the 30s and 40s, it literally was.
Yeah.
I mean, Cadillac was the aspirational automotive brand in the world. And American brands in general, Duesenberg, like the Packard, those brands, America was the standard of the world in that era. And, things kind of changed and
What
Cadillac
happened?
sort of lost that. I don't know, the gas crisis, and they rested on their laurels and this and that. You can point to a lot of stuff throughout that era. But ultimately, the Germans showed up and really knew how to build a luxury car, and then the Japanese showed up, and that was another blow. And but Cadillac still has some competent products. No one makes a big SUV like Cadillac, and that's still popular. And those are popular globally. I mean, you go anywhere in the world, and people want Escalades. That's like a thing. Even they don't even sell it in every market, but they find a way. You see them in Japan. It doesn't matter where.
What types of cars are people most drawn to right now? Is it the midsize? Are we seeing sedans becoming less popular?
Yeah, I mean, SUVs are going to remain, I think. I remember 15 or so years ago, Chrysler canceled all of its sedans, and we were like, we're done. SUVs are the future, and it's going to be a permanent shift. And I thought that was really bold. And boy, has that turned out to be true. People don't want cars anymore, cars. The sedan is shriveling. Now, I will say, the popular sedans, there's still a long life left. The Honda Accord, Toyota Camry, and Prius, and the popular cars still are going to go for a while. But the writing is on the wall with the future of the car. It will kind of more and more become a little bit more of a niche product, I suspect, as people just want to sit up higher. And there are no compromises with SUVs anymore. You used to be compromised on ride quality and fuel efficiency and all this stuff, and you just aren't anymore. They drive like cars.
Which car make has consistently disappointed you over the past few years?
Past few years.
Like, which car make just progressively gets worse?
I wouldn't say progressively gets worse, but I have consistently found myself disappointed with Honda and with its inability to really go out and take some of the risks that its rivals are taking. Honda has like 6 core products that are the best in the segment. You know, the Odyssey, the Accord, the Civic, the CRV, HRV, like those, the cars that you buy, like those, of course you buy those. But other than that, there've never been a concerted effort to try to like improve in other directions. And when they do it, they're so cautious. Even with Acura, they're so cautious. They're not actually going after what they could be doing and spending money to really try to conquest. They're just sort of like holding up at the 6-car core and not really taking substantive leaps. You know, Toyota has made a ton of money in the last 10 years with off-road SUVs. Honda won't touch it. Pickup trucks has been a massive sales success for a lot of companies, including Toyota. Honda won't touch it, mostly. The luxury brands, Honda has never funded Acura or strategically given Acura what they need to really succeed. And you look at some missed opportunity there, and that's disappointing to me.
It's weird. Even Acura is another one of those companies where I'm like, what is their target demo? Who buys Acuras? Why would you buy an Acura if you could just go buy like a Lexus?
They only, at this point, Acura is down to basically 2 products, which are SUVs. There's a midsize of the RDX and a larger one called the MDX. And the people who buy them, honestly, what it is people who can't quite afford the Mercedes-Benz or BMW or Audi equivalent.
But like Lexus.
Yeah, Lexus is there too. And Lexus now has its most competitive SUV lineup of all time. So if I were Acura, I'd be especially anxious right now. Acuras tend to be maybe a little bit cheaper than Lexuses. And there are some people who are really sold on Honda reliability. But if that's your core, that's not a great, you know, you want to be growing.
Yeah.
That's not really a great core to have necessarily.
There are just some car brands out there where I'm like, why do you even exist? I feel like you could have, for the average person, maybe 5 brands, and that's kind of like all you need.
Like in and out. Like just the menu. It's
you
5
just
items.
Need like Toyota, Honda,
that's
Ford.
what Tesla's doing.
Yeah,
Really?
Tesla.
You probably could.
Like, I don't know what all
Most
these other
people would
Chrysler,
eventually
Buick,
fit into one of those boxes
Yes.
if they had
Lincoln.
to.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't, like, when there are
true.
so many better alternatives
Yeah.
for more reliable companies, there's just I don't know who's buying those.
Yeah. That is definitely true. Most people would definitely fit into one of those boxes if they absolutely had to. However, people like choice, and automakers are good at style in some cases and marketing in ways that others aren't. And you know, does Audi do anything better than BMW or Mercedes-Benz? Maybe, maybe not. However,
they have a demo. Like
they
makes
have a
sense
demo,
for them.
and so like the Audi demo wants an Audi, right? Like, and you could draw that. You could make that to all 35 major car brands, right? You could make people. There are people who want Volvo. I have a lot of neighbors where I live who do not want to own a Mercedes-Benz, a BMW, the showy ones. They want a luxury car, but they want a Volvo because
Volvo people are fanatical.
Yeah,
they really are.
I have never
Yeah.
realized how crazy some
but
Volvo
you
owners
get,
They're great
when you talk to
cars,
some of these people about their decision, you can see how they kind of arrived at their conclusions, you know?
So what are the best cheaper alternatives that you've seen?
Honestly, mainstream brands are making the best cars that they ever have. Like a Prius, the current Prius is a amazing car. The current Honda Civic Hybrid is an amazing car. They're going to be a little louder. They're not going to quite have the level of refinement and the stitching on the seats and all that. But like, you know, 25 years ago, I get in some of these cars we have in the office, you know, the 95 Toyota Camry, you get in some of these cars and they're so bare bones. And that's not true of regular cars anymore. Regular car now has heated seats, has heated rear seats, has cooled seats, has a heated steering wheel, has a 14-inch center screen with CarPlay. Like, I sometimes think about this. Like, I got a Subaru Outback press car at my house right now, and I'm thinking, why is anybody spending more than this? Mm-hmm. If you're not into cars and you're spending more than $46,000 for a car, why?
Yeah.
Unless this is a thing that you're literally enthusiastic about, this gives you everything you could possibly need, you know, and that's true of a lot of different mainstream cars right now.
What do you think of the Hyundai Genesis that looks kind of like the Bentley?
Yeah, no, the Genesis brand has been taken off. The Hyundai has seen that there's a lot of money in Lexus and Mercedes-Benz, and they want to go get that. Tough time to be launching a brand like that, but they seem to be doing a decent job of it. They now have a couple SUVs, which are pretty successful. Jury's still out on whether that brand will be successful. It really is going to depend on exactly how much investment they're willing to give it. But I think they're great. And one thing that Genesis is doing that other brands are not doing is they are specifically targeting luxury. So many brands have focused on sport and performance. So like so many cars, when you get in, the seats are pretty tight and they've got this sporty looking interior and bright red lighting. And Genesis has specifically said, we're going to go after the buyers who don't care about that, but want like a really high quality. So it's nice aluminum and leather everywhere and everything. And there's something to that for sure. It is a nice car.
And what about futuristic tech that you've seen? What are you most looking forward
Fish
to when it comes
tanks
to
and
that?
cars.
Bowling alleys?
I'm telling you. There's a lot of great stuff. I mean, I think the continued advancement of self-driving is going to be the greatest thing that ever happened to like American commuters. I don't know how often you use your self-driving.
I never use it.
Oh, I use it. It is the greatest thing in my life. When I'm on those types of drives, like if you're in bumper to bumper, you don't commute, right? So you're probably not.
I don't.
But you can imagine, like if you're commuting like to San Diego from Temecula or from outside Houston or what, like there's you're sitting in bumper to bumper on the 405 or the DC Beltway, like you don't have to do anything. That's kind of nice. And that's the tech that I'm, even as a car enthusiast, I'm most excited for. I think the daily driver cars should be appliances and can be appliances, and that's totally fine.
But what do you think of them turning all of these things then into subscriptions? It just seems like more and more and more companies are leaning towards, hey, if we get all these people on a subscription with us, we'll make a lot more money.
Sure. But I mean, that's the right business model. So if you can trick people, or trick is the wrong word. But if you can convince people to do it, and the automakers are really hoping they can convince people to do it, then they're going to do it. So the question is, how hard are people going to push back and that kind of thing? I mean, what do I think of it? I don't want to do it, but like, do I want to do anything? Do I want to have 19 different TV subscriptions so that every time my son wants to watch something, I got to actually Google how to watch it, before I can actually watch it? Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
But like, that's the best way for those companies to monetize those things. And that may happen with cars if we let it.
I think they're going to have a subscription for everything. Like you want a subscription for tires?
Yeah.
Just pay monthly, this low price. We'll give you new tires every time you need it.
Yeah, I never thought there'd be like a phone subscription, but that's exactly what it is the thing now.
Or I've seen the remote start subscription.
Yeah.
For $20 a month, you get to remote start your car.
Yeah.
You get access to the
What does
app.
that even mean?
If you want to preheat the car,
But
start up
can't
in
you
advance.
just have hardware that?
Yeah, but you have to unlock it with.
But there are some
subscription.
benefits to this remote because it's through their like app that kind of controls like where the car is positioned and all that. So like let's say I flew out at the airport. My wife's coming in the next day. She doesn't have the key on her. I can start the car from my app. I'm in Hawaii. I can start the car for her, and she drives it home and then gets the key. She doesn't have to carry it with her or whatever. Like you can imagine scenarios where you might want it. I didn't do it in my Sequoia. Once the free period ended, I gave up.
I could see them also adding a subscription for different drivers in the car.
Yeah.
Like if a driver wants to, I put Jack on my Tesla key card. It's like that's $10 a month.
All of this stuff could happen. The question is, will people let the automakers get away with it? So far, no. Automakers have tried. Like I think it was BMW tried heated seats, and there was such a backlash that people. I actually find it odd how big of a backlash there is because to me, it's almost entirely a consumer. It's like a way of framing your thought. Really, like we have no problem paying $10,000 more for the bigger engine, but we have a problem paying $150 a month more for the friggin' electric car for like the more power. And if you actually think about it, it's not that different, right? How many, you had the bigger engine, you paid $10,000 more for it. How long did you own the car? Divide that by the number of months. That's how much you paid per month, right?
Yeah.
Like it makes some sense, but that's not how people think about it. And we made that, we tried to go down that road in our podcast as like a thought exercise and people were vicious. That's not how they think about it.
You know what? I want to make a prediction. I think for electric cars, you're going to have to pay a subscription to unlock more range and more power.
Yeah. There are already EVs that make you pay more for more power if you want it.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's interesting because done right, the subscription model for features actually could benefit the consumer.
Yeah.
Like what if you only want a car that has a heated driver's seat, right? But I want a car, I got a family, I want a car that has all the heated seats. So you don't have to pay as much as me. You pay the $2 a month for the heated driver's seat. I pay the $20 for you get the point. Like you can actually see a way, but of course the companies will not structure it in a way that will benefit the consumer.
No.
But you could see that happening. Like, do I need a radio in a car anymore? I only ever hook up my phone and use Bluetooth. I don't care about satellite radio. I don't care that it's even installed. The module's even there. I would happily pay the lower amount, but with hardware that's difficult to do. But with software, you could see it potentially.
What's that one car that you could buy for really cheap where you like assemble
the slate truck?
It.
Yeah.
It's like a bare bones thing, and you pay for every little thing extra. Like you want a radio, that's going to be
how
extra.
expensive is the base model of it?
There's been a lot of talk. We'll see is the answer. Like they said it would cost X, but it's EV, and that included the subsidies, which have gone away since they announced it. So who knows? But also, like, who knows what these things actually cost by the time they reach the market? 5 years from now. It's a cool idea. The thing that has generally stopped that has been manufacturing. Like, it is difficult to have like a menu. It's much easier to if they get the satellite radio, they also get the heated seats, and they also get the heated steering wheel, and then the manufacturing process, it makes manufacturing a lot easier, which in a way I think has probably made some of those features just generally cheaper. That's what's been hard for automakers to do it. Cars that had individually selectable options, it was always more expensive than like bundled packages.
What's one feature that every single car that's made in 2026 should have?
I don't know. I don't think there's anything that's like that essential that isn't mandated by the government.
Okay, sure.
Backup cameras, but you have to. I think most people, you should still be able to kind of choose what you want. And some people really do want bare bones, ultra low end stuff.
Sure, but
I'm going to say something. Let me say something. I think it's perfect. Front facing cameras.
Front cameras are really nice. Not that many cars have them at all. Yeah. I do think a camera rear view mirror is the greatest feature I've ever had in any car, and I think it should be in all cars. I do think that this is going to get me in trouble with the car enthusiasts, but I do think that hybrid technology has proven itself and is already in most cars, but probably needs to make its way into basically every car at this point. Not necessarily plug-in, not full EV, but there are now ways to have mild hybrids that control certain components of the car or that fill in a little bit extra in terms of power when you're accelerating. And they're really beneficial in terms of fuel economy, and they don't seem to add that much more to the price. Other than that, front camera's nice, but the automaker can charge for that. You'll pay it, You know what?
That'll be a subscription to have access to the rear view camera.
Yeah. There are a lot of cars that like come with the thing, and unless you pay the money, the thing is physically behind a thing. And it's like laughable, but that's like how it's done sometimes.
Yeah. How's Cars and Bids doing?
Good. Strong. My best year ever last year. We're doing really well. We hired a new CEO about a year ago who's done a great job really optimizing the business for success. And we're running the most auctions we've ever run. We're selling the most cars we've ever sold. And things are good.
How does the CEO run the business different from you?
Oh, I'm going to be clear. I didn't run the business, nor am I qualified to. Okay. I make YouTube videos as a profession. Like, I shouldn't be running a business. Okay. But he's a CEO. Like, it's interesting. Yeah. I've now that I'm in this world, like, it's interesting to see kind of people who operate at a high business level operate. Like, they know what to do. They have like an instinct. Like, I have an instinct about cars and about driving. Like, they have an instinct about like, here's what to, here we should do this instead. Things I hadn't thought about, how to optimize or strategize and make things processes improve and streamline it easier for our employees, easier for our users, et cetera. It's kind of interesting.
What's been the most surprising?
I don't think any individual thing has necessarily been tremendously surprising other than the overall, like, we thought we were running the business pretty well before. And then we hired a guy who knew what he was doing. And it was like, oh, that surprised me. Like, I didn't know that such a thing was out there, It's interesting to work with like world-class people. It really is. That shocks me.
How many employees do you have?
35, something like that.
Wow. And how many work on Cars and Bids?
Cars and Bids on my YouTube channel are now under the same umbrella.
Okay.
They're the same thing. So all of us work on collaboratively on all of it.
How is your income broken down then between Cars and Bids and YouTube and like everything else you have?
I'm a W-2 man. I earn a salary. So I sold, the majority of the business, combined the YouTube channel and Cars and Bids into one business. Well, sold them separately, but now we're combined into one business. That was I sold the majority to this private equity firm, the Cherning Group, and now I just am a salaried employee.
How long do you have to work on the YouTube channel in that contract?
Well, I mean, I get a good salary and I love the work. So like, I'm gonna keep doing. Like, what the hell else would I do? Look at me. Like, this is the only job I've ever had.
Is it a part of the contract
there was sort of like an earn out period basically where I got, if I worked for a certain number of years that there was a carrot that I could grab if I wanted it. And I did that, but like, I'm not stopping. Like, I truly don't know what else to do. You know what I mean? Like,
you would be doing it regardless.
I would do it anyway.
I saw the video you posted recently of would you retire?
Right. If I wasn't doing this, I think I would do it. Right. Like if I wasn't doing it for Cars and Bids, I restart my own channel and just like do it on a smaller scale again.
Is it more enjoyable to be a W-2 than it is to be a business owner?
I think it really depends on who you are. It depends on who you are, how much money you got, and where in your career and in your family life you are. For me, it has been better. It has been nice to take a step back. It has been nice to hand the reins to someone who knows what he's doing, who has optimized the business in a way that I never could have. That's been great. It's a little weird to like, I'm a salary guy like that. You know, my whole life I've been self-employed.
It must be nice though, knowing how much you're earning.
Yeah, that helps. The variability of YouTube was punishing. However, I also remember months that were crazy, and you'd celebrate. I mean, I remember some months where it was really cool. You know, it was like, I can't believe this happened.
Do you get less joy though when you see a video hit like 3 million views or like a 1 out of 10 because you don't, it's like the same either way.
Totally. Although I actually think my audience benefits from that because, you know, you guys and everybody else who's on YouTube in that world, like kind of games that you put the best videos up at the end of the quarter, end of the year, like make the most money. How can I optimize this? I got no problem shooting a video with a car that I'm interested in and that this sliver of my audience is interested in, even if I know it's not going to kill. and I love that. You know, that freedom is cool.
But see, the most viewed video on your channel is that $150,000 pickup truck.
I'll never forget that. Yeah, right.
More than the Bugattis and the Ferraris.
But on balance, those types of videos have done better. Like if you really look at, if you have a spreadsheet with all of it, the supercar, hypercar videos have always done, you know, X amount higher than, but I like sometimes, I actually love doing supercar, hypercar videos too, because they're very creative, those cars. But I like doing the weird stuff too. And now I can financially justify it because you see a video hit 3 million views, you don't get all that money, any of it. But you see a video hit, you know, half the views is normal, you don't get penalized. And that's kind of nice.
So, what's your current involvement in the business? Like, what are the things that you're responsible for?
Primarily just creating the content and trying to, you know, be a good funnel to get people to Cars and Bids.
Titles,
and to get
thumbnails, like, what are your...
Thumbnails? What thumbnails?
Yeah, okay, sure.
We have I have an editor named Nick who does most of our who does our video editing and does a lot of that kind of stuff. We fight about titles, me and Sean, who's our head of content. But I definitely don't, I'm not involved in the weeds like I used to. People ask me, I still kind of know the view numbers more or less, but like people ask me, you know, specifics and the stuff I would have known cold 5 years ago.
And do you enjoy that?
Yeah. I mean, this all coincided with me having kids. And so I'm kind of famous in our world now for kind of saying no to everything. Like it upset Sean. I issued an edict. If you go, maybe I've told this story, but if you go up the 405, if you go up the freeway at the 405 and the 73, there's a giant Hyundai headquarters building. And I've told everybody that I won't go north of there for any reason. I used to go to LA every week to shoot. You know, there was this car, that car, or this little carrot dangling. Like if you go to Texas, you can get this video done. And it's been nice to spend the time with my family. And due to my amazing staff and crew, we've not really been penalized on views. We've brought cars to our office. I didn't have an office before. I would shoot in Mormon church parking lots. That was my whole life. Now we have an office. The cars come to us. Obviously, that ratchets up the cost, but there's a larger business that can help defray those costs. And we haven't been penalized in views, even though I clearly am not. I'm releasing content at the same level. The content is just as good. The amount of content is just as frequent.
I would agree with that as a viewer. Yeah.
The amount is just as frequent. In fact, we're doing more content than before, but I definitely don't have to grind as much. And within my world where I have a family now, which is definitely my most important thing, that's big to me.
What made it the right choice to take your foot off the gas? Was it the family coming in? Was it an age thing? Was it a finance thing where I'm financially comfortable. I don't necessarily need to grind, pedal to the metal.
It was all those things. But I mean, I would sort of argue against the take your foot off the gas thing because I am making more content than I was before. It's just that I'm not doing the like hard little stuff, sitting in the car, going up to LA, editing the videos while I'm sitting on my couch, like that stuff, the really hard stuff I've been able to. So like from a content perspective and making the content and honestly enjoying making the content, I'm still like the same dude I always was. I don't think I've taken my foot off the gas in that level. And I think our numbers reflect that. And honestly, I think our viewers feel that way too, clearly.
Do you enjoy making the content more now than you did back in the day then? Since back in the day, you'd have to do this stuff?
It depends on exactly what content it is. I will say there are times when I'm reviewing the new Nissan Sentra And I'm sitting here thinking, why am I doing this? But most of the time, I either enjoy it just as much or more.
Do you wish then that you said no to those things a little earlier?
Yeah, but I couldn't have. You know the grind.
Okay.
You guys know the grind.
Yeah.
I mean, did you watch Hoovie's video? Hoovie had a video come out. It was so sad. His dog got hit. He was running in the street and his dog got hit.
No, I didn't
killed.
see that.
And he basically made the point that like between that and he had this mishap with his 300 SL where he hit his door, he was like, I've been doing a lot of stuff that my focus is lost because I'm just grinding so hard and my foot is on the gas so hard. And that resonated with me so much. Like when you're in this space, you can't not, like I was just talking to a guy at the Lambo dealer who told me he had a kid and he took 2 weeks off. And like, you're in sales, you take 2 weeks off. That's 2 weeks you're not going to make money. Like it's hard to do, and that's true of our profession as well, or not mine any longer. But now, like if you take time off, that's just money out of your pocket. Like, and you lament that, and then you have to think, is it worth it? And it's that stuff is hard. But to answer your question, like at that period, I couldn't have done that. I realized that it was a rare period where I was going to be able to earn at that level and be at that level of content and views and stuff. And I had my foot on the gas for that whole time and had to go hard. And I don't think I could have slowed down any earlier.
When is that the right time to take your foot off the gas then?
Or at least to say no to more things that you don't want to do.
I think the right time is when at least for me, it was when all those things came together. I had gotten a big payout, and was financially independent. Like at that point, my family showed up, and the at some point you are getting old. I mean, it doesn't look very physical what I do, but like it took a toll being in the hot sun every single day, filming videos. Getting into the backs of stupid cars, being on the road, driving to this or flying to that every week, like it after a while, it becomes a lot. And so if you can find yourself in a financial and in a familial situation where you can maybe take a break from that level of grind, I think it's a nice thing to do.
See, most people aren't in that situation where they have all these things happen at the same time.
Pre-kids.
They're in like a boil.
Yeah.
Where it just keeps growing, and it's, eventually kind of reaches a tipping point, but that could be when you're like 70 or 60.
I will say, like, one of the things I watch though with these people is that they complain about how difficult this is and how much the grind is, and yet I see them ratcheting up their personal expenses. They want to get one more car, they want to get one more house, whatever, and it's like that's just another X number thousand that you got to hit every month. And I think another thing that has helped me stop and kind of slow down is that I got everything I want. Like I truly I'm not sitting here thinking that I want any more cars or any more property. I'm like cool with what I have. And there's something nice about that too, that like I know that my spend will probably never go higher than it is right now. And I think that if you're in sort of an accumulation phase in your world, that also makes it really hard to stop grinding and grinding harder and chasing every last little thing. And I think there's not a lot of people who get to a point where they say, I have what I want. I think most people, especially when they reach financial levels that are pretty significant financial levels, they see their peers who are flying private and their peers who have this car or that house, and they're like, I want that, and they got to keep rationing. And I'm unusual in that respect.
Was getting to that point of satisfaction a product of acquiring wealth, or was it just a change in the mentality?
I think it was literally that I just like dreamed of having a few things, and then I got them all, and I don't have any more dreams.
So it was actually getting the thing.
Yeah. And getting the thing itself wasn't as satisfying as I thought it would be. Like it was great, but I think the most satisfying thing was knowing that I don't have to grind anymore. That's a big deal for me. It's not for everybody. Some people love it. I talked to some people who have sold their business for many times what mine is, and they're like working on their next thing. And I'm sitting here like, what the hell? But for some people, like you can't stop. They can't turn it off. And I'm not judging that. Like, what I like right now in my world is hanging out with my kids, volunteering at their school, and going swimming with them in the pool, and building Legos. And we build a lot of Legos. Like that's what I like right now. But I know there are a lot of people out there, parents, dads, people who don't want that, who are like, the next thing is like really actually what they like, what is interesting to them. And that's their thing. That's fine.
Do you feel like you got less motivated though once you hit those metrics and got those things, that now all of a sudden there's no more like push to...
Yeah, for sure. There were definitely some things that were motivating at a high level.
Yeah.
But I'm still motivated for our business to do well. And I hired all my friends to work here. And so I'm motivated for them to have some of the success that I had. And also, most importantly, I am like just intrinsically motivated by this work. I truly love to do these stupid car reviews. And so like, there's not a part of me that is sitting there going like, I'm not doing this. I don't want to do this. This sucks. Like, I really like it. And so like, am I less motivated to chase the more numbers and all that? Yeah. But I don't know. I still love it. I still love doing it. Like, it's crazy to me. That's the dream, to find a job where you just really, really like really can't stop, love it, is like, that's very special to be in that situation for sure. Where I come into work and basically no matter what car I'm reviewing, I pull it into the garage here and I think to myself, okay, let's do this. Like, I'm excited.
What's your schedule like?
I shoot videos in this office most days of the week. But my son gets off school at 2:30, and so most of the time I'm basically there when he's around. So, and I play tennis every day. So it's a nice balance, you know.
And where are you investing these days?
Pretty much exclusively index funds.
Nice.
That's
just S&P. We just do international.
I'm now heavier on bonds. We can get really into your audience likes this stuff. So there's now an ETF that's California municipal bonds, which is tax free. For high earners. It's in California. It's a big deal, and so I got a lot of money on that too. But
what's the yield on that?
It's like 3.5 tax free, which is
That's
huge.
really good.
Yeah, if your income is at a level where you do the math on the taxes, but I've done it and it works for me.
Yeah,
it won't someday. I'll have to figure something else out if bond yields go up. But anyway, so I got a lot of money in that too, and that's it. I'm a VTI or VT, one or the other, depending on which, and my California Muni one, and that's it. That's all. And then I got 2 houses, and I got the cars, which I think they're never as good investments, I think, as the market is going to be. But I am a big fan of diversification for a lot of reasons. So.
And what about spending? How much does your garage cost you per month?
The garage, the cars. They're not that crazy. I just paid my insurance bill. It was $18,000 for the year. That's for the non-daily drivers. For the daily drivers, like another $3,000, so $20,000. And then I have like what is my budget on car maintenance? It's like every year is like 35, I think, and 45, something like that. And if I go above that, we got a problem. Now, last year I went way above it, so we're hoping for the best here.
That's not bad though.
It's really not.
No, it's not. It's so
Tavares, what are you saying?
But he's got loans on some of these cars. He's financed some of these cars.
Tavares has?
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't. I got all my money post the rates going up, and so I took out a loan on that when I first got it, but the rate was so high, I just decided to pay it off. So, which is crazy, but I can't figure out a better allocation of cap. Now, if I had known what was going to happen in the stock market in the last 3 years, I would have done something differently, but you don't know. And it's not like I did poorly. So, it's not that significant. It's like, so the cars cost me maybe like $60,000 a year to own, 70, something like that. Even that's like higher than I want it to be, to be honest. I would really prefer it to come down. I bought this Porsche like 3 months ago, kind of on a whim, and I vaguely regret it. But other than that, but that's part of like the being satisfied thing. I think one of the reasons the cars are not that expensive to own is because I have three really special sports cars, and that's all I want. I don't want to do anything else. And when you buy and selling cars, that's where a lot of costs are incurred. There's a lot of transaction costs, and there's also a lot of when you buy a car, it's never represented in the shape that you hope it was, and you always have to put some money into it, or at least I do. And then when you're using it a lot, this new car, you want to change this and that and whatever. But when you have 3 cars that you sort of settle into, you're not making modifications to them anymore. You already know the service history. You've done the important service work, and you just kind of, at that point, it's just maintenance.
What do you think would make Cars and Bids even bigger?
If we could more effectively communicate to people, especially sellers, that you get the most money selling on Cars and Bids versus Facebook Marketplace or whatever. Like, it is wild to me. And I know how wild it is because I've had a bunch of my friends do it. They'll find a car that is poorly represented on Facebook Marketplace. Dude just wants a quick sale, his thumbs over the license plate. Yeah. And my friends will buy the car, clean it up, put a good set of stock wheels on it instead of the 20-inch whatevers, make it look nice, do a little service, $2,000-3,000, fix whatever's leaking, list it on Cars and Bids 6 months later, and like, they'll make 50%. And it's like, seller, if you had just put $3,000 into this car, you could have had another $30,000 in upside or $20,000 in upside. And this is like a side business that a lot of my friends are doing now because they're close to the auction world, and because of me, and we talk about it at our dinner or whatever. And they see how much like delta there is in what some people are stupid and just want a thing gone and how much it could go for. And I just wish we could more effectively communicate that. It takes longer. The process takes longer. You have to get the car photographed well. You have to clean the car. It is not like Facebook Marketplace where you walk out to your driveway and you take 2 pictures in your underwear and then you put it up. But some people maybe don't care about the extra $5,000 or $8,000 or $12,000, but I bet most of them do and just aren't realizing that this is available to them.
It seems like you should be offering some sort of service, like a real estate agent of cars.
Yeah.
Where you basically take it over, someone knows how to professionally go and like prep the car, like you would stage a house.
There are businesses that do this.
it.
There are businesses that this is their entire thing, is listing cars on our site on Bring a Trailer as their job, is like prepping the car correctly, knowing that whatever rich dude who has the car just doesn't want to have the time, and then they take a cut of the final price.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
There are some cars that I see on Facebook that are selling at just unbelievable prices. I saw a Cybertruck that sold at $62,000.
Yeah.
That was pretty much new with a wrap on it.
Yeah.
Full tints.
And by the way, that's another benefit to having cash, right? So some of these people are in trouble, especially in Vegas. You know, you get people who are like in trouble and like need to get out of these things tomorrow. And I have a buddy who bought an Audi R8 this way. It was a commercial real estate guy right when the tariffs last year, when the tariffs were becoming like really a thing, the market was tanking. He was like terrified. No one was answering his, he was like, what's going to happen? And he sold his R8 for nothing. My buddy had it for 4 months and made like $20,000 on it.
Wow.
Because he had cash when the guy was, be greedy when others are fearful. Well, he did that.
Yeah. Now, from what you've seen though, is there any advice that you have for a bidder on Cars and Bids to get a good deal? Like a strategy? Is it good to like bid up initially? Is it good to wait until the last possible minute?
No, wait till the end. People are insane. This is my strategy.
Yeah.
Our corporate team would probably prefer me say that they should bid as much as they can as early as possible and lock in those revenue. But no, you should wait till the end. But not the very end. We constantly have people who are like, I hit the button right at 0 seconds, but it didn't take my bid. It's like, dude, the bid clock resets to a minute with every bid at the end. 0 seconds or 4 seconds or 28 seconds, it's going to reset to a minute. You shouldn't wait till the last second, you idiot. Like, I want to scream that at people. But that's the right thing to do, is to wait till the last day. Like, you don't want to run up the price of the car early, and then just...
How do you prevent sellers, though, from bidding on their own product and telling a buddy like,
this is an interesting topic. Everyone who works for Cars and Bids is going to hate me for my answer to this question. The auction houses, the big ones, don't. You are absolutely allowed to bid on your own car. Or, I mean, they might have rules that say you can't.
You can't, yeah.
Okay, but like all the big auction houses allow this to occur, more or less, in one way or another. Even if bidding on your own car is you have an agreement with the auction house beforehand, and you are the plant in the back of the room. Now, in some cases, they still require you to pay a fee, so the auction house still makes money. Personally, I don't entirely see something wrong with that. If you're so stupid that you want to bid your own car up to winning it and then pay the fee, like, you're insane, but like, you did that. Some people want to find out what their cars are worth, and that's a relatively cheap way to do it, right? We do not allow it. And so you can't completely prevent it. How would the auction company stop me from having you bid on my car? You have a different address, different credit card number. You're literally a different person than me. How could you stop that? But we do our best. If we see that it's flagrant, we ban the person. They're gone. If they're trying to use the same credit card, it's not even possible, etc. But there's definitely an argument in some of this world that it's like a thing that should be allowed. Our executives are really fastidious about trying to eliminate it from happening, but it's hard to completely stop, and I think everybody understands that it's impossible to completely put an end to.
What's been the most surprising sale on Cars and Bids?
Oh, there have been a ton. I used to complain to our reserve team, why'd you take this car? And then it would sell. And I just have stopped. In fact, I actually did it this week. I complained about a car and then it sold for the exact number that the reserve team had it at. And I was like, damn, it's been like 6 months since I've done this and made a fool of myself. And I told myself I was not going to make a fool out of myself ever again. And here I am doing it again. I don't remember the exact ones, but there were some times I would send them a link to the team and sort of be like, kind of condescending, like, what are you thinking? You guys know what, and then they say, it's like, oh God. It happens for sure. So that's one of the other things about auctions. People are, it's only worth this, it'll only sell for this. You never know. You have two really interested people Especially if your car is unusual or special in some way. You never really know what's going to happen.
To me, because I look at Teslas all the time, I think Cars and Bids is probably one of the best places to buy a Tesla.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Model Ys. There were a few of them there where I'm looking back thinking, I should have bid on that.
Yeah.
That was such a great deal. I want that.
Yeah. And as a result of that, I think we've had fewer Teslas. I think there was a time where it was like, there were like 20 Teslas a week on the site. It was crazy. And they've definitely slowed down.
I think you should take more Teslas.
I don't think
from the buyer
I don't think we get as many
perspective.
submissions for Teslas as we once did.
I remember when you had the Cybertrucks going up, and I would sit there watching the auction. It was my entertainment to see what this Cybertruck was going to sell for. Like
those are
past
have you seen that like famous reel where the guy's like negotiating on the phone? This is like a car dealer, and he's negotiating on the phone, and he's like, "All right, the Cybertruck, I'll give you 60." And the guy's like, "60? I got all the wheels. I got the special accessories." He's like, "Listen," he's like, "All right." He's like, "I'm not going to actually make an offer on your Cybertruck because you need some time to come to terms with the fact that your Cybertruck is not worth what you think it's worth." Those fell quick. Some of the Teslas are definitely bargains, and I think they're especially bargains in sort of an open auction setting when you're kind of seeing a market set a price. And dealers, I think, in some situations try to take advantage of maybe people who don't quite know as much about what the real price discovery on some of those cars, which is very public and open in the auction format.
Yeah. Another topic I want to talk about that I'm really looking forward to is the Montana LLC.
Yeah.
Is that coming to an end?
Hey, you see that California license plate on
I
the
saw
car?
that.
Real.
That's technically
real, folks.
Technically, Doug, that's a very expensive license plate for you to have that on that car.
Totally.
People don't realize. They see the Dubai plates with like 3. A California plate on this car is probably worth just as much when you really think about it.
Yeah. No, the lot's been made about the whole whistling thing.
And yeah, he got arrested again.
So I saw that you talked to Freddie about it.
Yes.
You know, the state law is real clear. And we went through this on our podcast. The state law is really clear. And everybody thinks it's about, well, the car is owned by someone who lives in Montana, owned by a business in Montana. Yeah. The state laws are not written that way. Especially, we looked up Tennessee's. I read Tennessee's state statute on our podcast on the air. The state statute in Tennessee is if you operate the vehicle in the state for 30 days, you have to register it in Tennessee. They don't care who owns it. They don't care where it's owned. That's not what the state statute is. And there's this misconception online that if it's owned somewhere else, but I operate it here, well, then the owner, that's not what the law is. The law is clear. If you operate the car for 30 days in the state, you have to register it in the state. And that's California's law as well. And most states' laws are written
But how does that apply? Let's just say if I'm going on vacation for 32 days,
which I do
drive.
every summer, I drive across the country and I live on the East Coast. I have a house out there, and for 90 days, I live out of state.
So how does that work with a state like Tennessee?
Officer discretion at that point, but that's the law. Like, ultimately, that's the law.
Okay.
It is insane, right? In that exact circumstance, there's a lot of people who live in New York and Florida, and technically, those people should be re-registering their car every time they go back and forth for the winter. Technically, right? It's silly. No one does it.
Yeah.
But I think that most of those states are willing to make an obvious exception for a person like me who clearly lives in Massachusetts and in California, actually lives with a home, has business activity, community in those places. It would be pandemonium if on Cape Cod and Nantucket and South Florida they were pulling over everyone with out-of-state plates in the winter. It'd be insane because they know that that's not what those laws are designed to stop. Those laws are actually specifically designed to stop precisely the Montana LLC situation, where you're taking advantage of the fact that you can register the car somewhere else, but you're operating in these states. And I think that one of the things that people aren't realizing is how much license plate readers are factoring into this. It used to be 10 years ago, if you got pulled over for that, you'd say to the cop, prove it. I'm here 30 days, prove it. And they couldn't, really.
Yeah.
But they can now. And a lot of these states have been very liberal with their deployment of license plate readers. It's actually funny because California, hippie liberal California, as a result of its political situation, license plate readers are not common here. There are very few of them, and it's incredibly restricted use on how the police officers and local governments are able to use them, including they're not able to use them to enforce this law. But in states like Tennessee, which are very pro-police, that hasn't been the case. The license plate readers have been way more commonly deployed, and there's a much broader array of ability to use them for the local law enforcement, and they can figure this out. And so where it used to be like, I'm not using the car, now it's like, well, we got you on Interstate 23 on this day and on this day, and we got you on Johnson Street on this day, and it's like, it looks like you're using the car.
So then it comes down to being arrested.
That's wild.
Versus going through due process, being convicted.
I mean, that's like some sort of Wild West county prosecutor or county sheriff who wants to have some fun, and go arrest a famous guy and get on TV. That's crazy.
But do you think they're doing this? My theory was to simply just shut down the LLC. They want to scare people because if I'm there,
dude, you don't want to get arrested, right? Like if you're doing
that's what I thought.
Totally.
But I felt that Cody going and making that video played into their hand.
Probably.
Gave them way more exposure.
They knew he would do it, but he couldn't not do it, right? So.
Well, what's interesting is if he's going to make a second video. My thought was that he made the first video, pissed off the same person, and they said, let's dig deep, watch through every single one of his videos. Oh, he bought a G-Wagon. Where did he register? Oh, it's not Tennessee. Bam.
Most of these states have programs where you can turn somebody in. So like and honestly, if I'm paying my registration, and I see someone with Montana plates, it annoys me, right? Like, I know there are people who are like, used cars shouldn't pay sales tax. Well, that's the law. Your elected officials enacted that law. If you want to change that law, you elect different officials or campaign yourself. You don't just violate the law and then say, well, it shouldn't be a law, right? Like, what if I murdered you guys? It shouldn't count. I think murder should be legal. It's stupid. It's an idiot argument. It's actually an idiot's argument. I think that as a result of that, there are all these states have kind of encouraged people to turn people in, and I guarantee you, Cody's videos upset enough people that they got probably reports. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't someone in government who went after him. I wouldn't be surprised if they got reports from all over the world being like, check out this guy, he's cheating you. And eventually they were like, yeah, he is cheating us. What the hell? And then so they went and did it. And probably all the local state governments are aware of this thing and they're trying to put a stop to it. And Tennessee, his county or his state government it was like, hey, here's a way we can do it pretty publicly. Something like Forbes had an article about Montana LLCs recently, that it annoys every state. And they interviewed someone, a DMV director from Iowa. They were like, we'd call Montana and say, does this person have an LLC? And we don't know. We won't tell you. Okay, well, is this LLC operating in Montana? Yes. That's like all Montana wants to keep it going, but the other states are all trying to find ways to stop it. Utah is the one that has, so Utah's cracked down like crazy. They've also been arresting people, and they have figured out a way. The smart thing to do, they tied it to your insurance. So none of these Montana people, they all have Montana insurance, but they also have local insurance because that would be stupid not to.
Right.
So Utah was like, well, if you have an out-of-state car but local insurance, that's illegal. And I think that puts a stop to it. That's probably what the other states are going to do.
That's a smart way to do it.
Because no one would take the risk on the insurance aspect of it.
Right. I know a buddy even in California got pulled over for having a Montana LLC on his Lamborghini with a California driver's license.
Yeah, if you got a driver's license mismatch.
But the police officer specifically called that out, and he was referred to some sort of department to pay the sales tax on the Lamborghini from being pulled over by like a random motorcycle cop.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what they should have done with Cody. Like, it's insane to arrest somebody for.
So what's going to be the outcome of that? What do you think
he's going to pay the back sales tax, which is not all that much, and it's going to go away? It's silly. I mean, there's probably jail time is probably in the statute somewhere.
Do you think they're going to try to get him for at least a week in jail, a night in jail, something
silly.
Just to say that, hey, we put him in jail.
I think the mere possibility of being arrested is enough for a lot of these guys to not want to do it.
100%.
Like, if I'm doing it, I wouldn't want to do it. Now, like, I don't want to get arrested. Come back from the airport, I'm not going through customs.
Imagine this, though, with the IRS. You miss like a 1099 that you just got lost in the shuffle, and they come and arrest you.
I have had IRS notices come to my house for a lot more money that I missed, that I was under, and sometimes that I was over. And that's some mistake, and they were sending me a check for a lot more money than what Cody's owing right now to Tennessee. Yeah. And yes, it is a letter in the mail. And you call your accountant, you say, okay, what happened here? And we go back and look, oh yeah, we got to do this, whatever. And it's just handled as literally as like rote paperwork.
Right.
But there is one big difference is in Cody's case, there's clearly intent, which is an element of crime, right? Like ultimately, when I'm doing it with the IRS, there's not intent, and so there's always going to be paperwork mismatches. And Cody's case, that's not the situation. So they could make that argument.
So in terms of other YouTuber finances, who do you think is the most irresponsible in 2026?
It's Freddie. It's gotta be Freddie.
More than Hoovie.
Oh yeah, no, unquestionably. Hoovie's not that bad. I joke about Hoovie a lot because I'm closest with Hoovie, and he does do some crazy stuff. But Freddie, he's Florida. Freddie is Florida. Freddie encapsulates Florida in one person, and I love him for it. And that's why we all watch his videos. He is beloved for that reason because he does crazy stuff. Like as crazy as what he's doing with cars, that's his finances. His finances are the half fire-destroyed Porsche 918 of finances. That's what it is.
Do you think he should have bought that car?
No, I think he should have bought either of them. I think both of those cars were beyond saving.
But what about the views he's made from the channel?
Yeah, right. And so I'd be curious to see what the numbers all are in terms of both revenue from that and whatever loans he's got on the cars, which I've heard are significant. And so like, I'd be curious to see if it's teasing out. If I were Freddie, I would be putting up a lot more content, a lot more frequently on the
We would
cars.
want that because I love his videos. I think he should be posting every other week.
Totally.
Just a good cadence. Every other week, every other Tuesday, every Monday morning.
Give me every week and clickbait me, Freddie. Clickbait me. I'll take it. That's how bad I want to see Freddie. But he doesn't, and I think he's leaving a lot of money on the table. Freddie is certainly not optimized at all.
You know what's so funny? We got him up on an email for people to reach out to help him, and it's tavaresneedshelp12@gmail.com, and we implored anyone who's watching who thinks you could help Freddie in his business and take some workload off his plate, email with a submission of why you should be...
Was Tavares Needs Help without the 12? Was that taken?
I just figured it was like mid-podcast, and he was just lamenting of his work schedule. I'm like, dude, well, why don't we just find you right now some people that want to help you out with your channel? And I'm like, okay, like assuming Tavares Needs Help is taken on Google.
Right, you want to make sure that there's one that is.
Like right now, because it was mid-filming. It was
Have people reached out already?
Yes. Yeah, so we created the Gmail.
You're forwarding it off to him?
And we just gave him the email login.
Oh, don't do that. It's the same thing is going to happen that happens for the rest of his life.
We still have like the account password and everything.
You need to manage it, Jack. You need to go in there.
I do not want to
sit Freddie. You got to call Freddie every week and be like, Freddie, did you reach out to this guy? Troy is in Orlando. He's got an impact driver.
I think he would go a long way with just a little bit of help. Someone who's like, hey, where's our video this week? But if you're interested, you want to make it happen, Tavares Needs Help 12. The email account,
gmail.com.
The email account is still active, guys, and he's actively checking it. Like literally, I see the emails coming in every day. Like for some reason, notifications
how
on my
much
phone.
exposure this email is going to be
I'm
getting.
going to start saying it on our podcast. Tavares Needs Help 12@gmail.com.
Guys, please help him.
We could set up.
Please.
Hoovie needs.
Hoovie needs help.
Need help.
Does Doug need help?
No.
Do you want Doug Needs Help?
No.
12.
I'm good.
Doug needs help.
Doug
11.
does not need help, guys. Okay, Doug doesn't need help.
But I totally agree Freddie does. I don't think Hoovie does. I think Hoovie's good. He's fine.
I thought every tax season he has to say like, well, I'm selling off these 3 cars.
But you got to remember, he overcars. Like he's got 60 cars at any given moment. So
his assets are building.
Yeah, and he's got to sell off cars for tax season, but he also needs to sell off cars because it's a Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like there is no time when Hoovie is not buying and selling and like horse trading. A buddy of mine was just at Barrett Jackson and Hoovie's down there.
Yeah.
And they hire Hoovie. This is a great Hoovie story. You got to ask him about this next week. They hire Hoovie at Barrett Jackson to come and do auction commentary. Like he like has a microphone and does like commentary and they pay him for that. But while he's there, he's such a degenerate car enthusiast. He can't stop buying cars. So even though they're paying him a money to go do it, he takes all the money they pay him and he spends it right back at the damn auction because he just can't not. And so they got to love this. They're getting like basically free auction commentary from Hoovie because he's taking the
and
money
a free buyer basically.
Yeah. If they weren't paying him to come down there, he probably wouldn't be buying the car. He wouldn't go down there himself. But they get him there to do auction commentary. The real reason they have him there is probably because they know he's going to buy like 6 cars.
Oh my God. It's kind of like giving a gambler money at a casino. Like the casino's giving, hey, here's 20 grand.
Right. Give a degenerate gambler, tell him, hey man, you get to come to this casino and do a little video on the casino. Yeah. But by the way, you'll also have a lot of free time during the big nights of action, whatever you want to do,
Yeah, I remember the first time he invited us to Barrett Jackson, he bought a Fisker Karma 2012. Just randomly, because it was there. It was at a price where he's like, I gotta buy it. Just try it out.
It's not within him to stop. It's insane.
And who do you think is the most financially responsible besides yourself?
I don't really know that much about the finances of a lot of these guys, other than that most of them scare me. YouTube in general is a business in which, like, to get into it, you kind of have to be nuts. And so, like, we're like the only logical, rational people on this platform. Like, does that ever hit you?
Ed Bolian.
You think Ed?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably the most financially responsible of all of them. But keep in mind, as you say that, you're talking about a man who owns a Bugatti Veyron. That's the most financially responsible.
But he's up on the car.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But, like, think about that. Like, that's the level we're talking about here. The answer to this is Harry Metcalf. Do you know Harry? Here's a British YouTuber, and he started Evo Magazine, which is a big British, and he's my absolute favorite car YouTuber. And he seems to be pretty, he's like an older guy, and he's like a rational person, and he's pretty funny. I love him more than any car YouTuber. I'm sure he's got it all figured out. Shmee, yeah, for sure. He buys a lot of fast depreciating hypercar type stuff, but maybe there's money there to do it. I don't really know how that all works.
My understanding with him, his work ethic is crazy. He posts so often, and he has a very lean team. Like, my understanding, when we did a podcast with him, he's filming himself, and then he's editing, I believe, himself. He just goes to the hotel and just like churns out the video.
I mean, it's nice to not
really
have the people.
And he's posting like daily, like every other day. He's been doing that for like 10 years.
He definitely grinds. There's no question. However, he also buys some cars that I'm like he got an SF90 Ferrari, which is like no car in history has depreciated more than this car. Like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of editing videos in the hotel room at night to make up for the simple value loss in that individual car. That sort of stuff scares me. I'm afraid for all of them. And I often sit here and I read their comments. I mentioned this in our pod, but I read their comments, and the comments are like, you're a rich YouTuber. What are you complaining about? And I know, because I've heard stories, that this person is about one video away from bankruptcy, like, and everybody's like, because they have all this stuff, people think they're really rich, but I know all of the stuff is financed to the hilt, and they're desperately chasing. And I'm just like terrified of basically all of them. The thing I think that most of them don't understand about YouTube is that it's not going to last forever. And I've begged them all to understand that. And every time I meet with any of them, I tell them to start a business from YouTube and like Cars and Bids. And the reason that I feel that I'm the answer to the question that you asked, Tavares, and now me, who's the most responsible, is like I did that. And I think that like the really smart ones do that. And you take that audience, which is linked to you in an algorithm that you do not control, and bring them over to a place where you can monetize it in a better way, in a way that is more controllable for you, etc. And they all should do it, because someday they're not going to have, I worry about Stradman. His views aren't as strong as they used to be, right? He's got a pizza place, but like that's brick and mortar. Like,
it's tough too.
It's a hard business. It's hard to scale. It's not really something that I think a private equity buyer comes in and says, yes, we want to buy your individual pizza location in suburban Phoenix. Like that kind of stuff. I really think they should all start like real businesses and take their audiences while they have them and do that.
That's what I want to do with Jack for the Iced Coffee Hour. Have some sort of business that's scalable, preferably online, money related, something that saves people money.
Yeah.
But I think our strength is really in the video itself rather than running a business. And I know myself, I'd be way too nice of a guy to like manage people.
Yeah. Running a business is a lot harder than I expected. And I've been very lucky to have partners who did it a lot better than me. I don't think I could. So I'm sitting here giving this advice to these YouTubers, but it's a little bit holier than thou, because I did it, but it's also because I had a lot of help. I don't know that, like, you have to find the right person. You have to find the right partner, et cetera, to do it.
You know what we should do? If you have a financial product or a business that you want to partner with us on, the email is
Graham needs help
12 at gmail.com. submit your business that we could be preferably equity partners in?
No, listen, I got 2 business ideas I'm going to give you right now, and I want you to take them.
Okay.
You can edit this out so the people don't have to see it.
Sure.
One of them is this. Okay. Everybody loves their like family and their dog and their kids and all this crap. You know how everybody has holiday inflatables? Customized holiday inflatables. Okay. So instead of Santa you buy on Amazon, you're selling ones. They send you a picture of their family, their dog, their kids, whatever. You make an inflatable out of their dog. People who are obsessed with their golden retriever are like, I want to go. Okay, here's your golden retriever as a Christmas inflatable. He's wearing a Santa hat and he's got Santa outfit on or whatever.
Okay.
That's for you to figure
easy.
out. That's one business. I want you to take that. I want to make that into $1 billion business. I'm giving that to you.
Thank you so much.
What's
The
the
other
next
one, okay. The other one, you know how kids in their rooms, they have little play mats that are like a map? Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
like
I've seen
church
this.
and there's a grocery store.
Yeah, I used to have one of those.
Yeah,
Good.
we all did.
Yeah.
Everyone has
Yeah.
one. It's like a big business,
Yeah.
the playmat business, okay? You make it personalizable to your, like the parents can pick. Like, do you want it to be like your neighborhood? Like, oh, your friend Johnny's house is on the map. Oh, it's right over there. Oh, your school is on the map. It's right over there. And the map, the little map where they're driving their little cars isn't just generic.
Do kids have a idea of where they live
They
in
would.
relation to one
They
another?
would in this situation. Plus, your kid's down there playing, and he's playing like in the neighborhood. Like, it's cute. Like, that's cute. I'm giving that to you also.
Thank you.
I only
You
want
go
a
ahead
small-
and take those ideas and run
I'd be
with them,
putting the
Graham.
real estate values on the map, like Zillow has. Like when you zoom in a lot. $7.95.
Listen, these
like-
are good business ideas. The personalized inflatables is a good business idea. And once you get rich doing that, a secondary lifestyle business is the personalized playmats for the kids. Okay? This is...
So you're bullish on like the personalized space.
People love this stuff. And people and their pets, like they'll pay anything for any pet thing. If you can get them personalized Christmas inflatables with their dog. Have you ever met dog people? They go crazy.
Yeah, they do.
They go crazy. They'll do anything. Every dog people have personalized dog bowls, and the leash is personalized.
So I'd always like to see some sort of translator where if the dog barks, it just translates in English or whatever your native
That's
language
harder.
is, like what it says.
That's harder, though. Do you understand? Because the problem with that is that you have to speak the same language as the dog
AI
in
will
order to
figure it
mix
out, though. AI will be able to predict based on the time of day, like the habits. Like it takes it.
You don't even need AI for my brilliant business idea. I want you to do this. I want you to take this, and I only want a small portion of it, couple million. And this is $1 billion idea.
Maybe if we could finance that at 0% over, 96 months, like the car loan,
Exactly.
would be nice.
Yeah.
If anyone does manufacturing that's watching this video right now
For
and they want to make
inflatables,
inflatables,
Or
please
playmats.
reach out. Graham needs help 12.
Yeah, or any other idea. Graham needs help 12. And we could partner with you and maybe sell some inflatables.
Inflatables.
And I'll be checking the email.
That's the next business.
So last off, we have rapid fire questions
Okay.
for you.
All right.
And so first
Boom.
thing that comes to mind,
Okay.
quick question, quick answer. Best car ever made.
That one, Carrera GT. Boom.
Best daily driver.
Prius.
If you were to bet on the failure of one car company, what would it be?
Nothing has come to mind yet, so you can't say I'm not saying it fast. What would it be? What would it be? Chrysler, I guess, but they're not really. No one's gonna fail.
Worst
Lucid. Wait, Lucid.
Mm.
Maybe not Lucid. They got a lot of backers. No one. Everybody's gonna be fine.
Worst car ever made.
I reviewed your Vegas friend Dana White's Tuk-Tuk. You know what a tuk-tuk is?
Yeah, the little tiny.
I drove one.
things,
Dana
yeah.
White had one, and we'd
Why?
auctioned it on the site for charity with him. That was a horrible car. Horrible. Does that count as a car?
Yeah.
Okay. I crashed into a curb. I hope that isn't information I shouldn't be sharing. Dana White's gonna beat me up.
What is the most Republican car?
Probably Ram TRX. You got to assume like 85%, 90% of Ram TRX buyers are Republican.
More than a Cybertruck?
Liberals like electric cars, though. Like, there's some portion of people buying that because they like want
Or
an
a
electric
Hummer?
car. Yeah, but Hummers are all electric now. Ram TRXs have a 700 horsepower supercharged V8. There is
Really?
nobody who both voted for Kamala and is driving. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
What is the most liberal car ever made?
Ever made? Probably like the Prius, the original Honda Insight. Do you remember that? It had like
Yeah.
the cover over the rear wheels, and those were only sold to liberals.
If you had unlimited money, what's your dream car?
I would probably want a Ferrari F50.
Would you quit YouTube for $20 million?
Post-tax?
Yeah.
I guess, but like, no, I would. Can I still make YouTube but not pay attention to the revenue?
No.
Oh, but then I would become irrelevant. No, I'm kidding. I'm already irrelevant. I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
Would you only ever drive a Prius for $30 million?
Only? Like, is the only?
Yep, only
For the
car you
rest
can
of
ever
your
drive.
life.
The rest of your life.
No.
Really, I said that you would take 30 million.
No.
To just drive a
Part of the
Prius?
reason I got money was to buy cars. What am I going to do with 30 million if I have to have a Prius everywhere? Yeah, maybe I'd take it.
What is Doug Demuro's best quirk and feature?
I'm really good with low levels of annoyance. Like, you know how your sock gets wet? I don't mind.
That's not low level though.
It's a high level for you.
Yeah.
That's the end of the world for me.
I could put my socks in a pool and do the rest of the day and you wouldn't even know about it.
Oh my God.
That is actually a superpower.
It's kind of gross.
And
though,
just
too.
generally, forget
Yeah.
about the pool socks, but like I can do a lot of stuff with like, I don't,
You
like
just-
all my buddies, like they have to clean their cars. Like we have a buddy who's on the East Coast and he's got a Porsche and he's snow and he could go out and like do donuts, but then I have to clean it. I don't give a, I would do the donuts. Like I don't mind the car's dirty. I wouldn't even really notice it. Like I'm really good at just getting past that kind of BS that doesn't matter.
Does it even occur to you, or do you? It's like an intentional thing to like.
It occurs to me, but I just like I'm good. It's one of the reasons why I think I'd be good in a haunted house. It's like the ghost is like, ooh, and I'd be like, look, dude, I
either stab me or not.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm busy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't do this right now. I don't have this.
What is your worst quirk and feature?
That's a good one. I need a lot of personal time, self-time. I wish I didn't. I wish I was more energetic. If I had a genie and I had 3 wishes, one of them would be I would wish for more energy, which is crazy because it looks like I have a lot of energy, but I'm going to go home now and sleep. I wish for more energy.
What is the secret to a good life?
I don't know. Find the stuff that you love and do that. And do the stuff that makes you happy. That's been my secret.
Okay, so we have right here.
Oh, wow. Computer for me. Thank God.
You have a computer.
Let me pull this
I
up.
needed a computer.
Jack's going to show you these inflatables he's been working on.
Dude, the inflatable thing. Do the inflatable thing. I'm not going to do it. I'm busy.
We have 2 quick tier lists for you to do.
Okay.
Okay, the first tier list is a car tier list.
Okay. Oh, this is easy. What do I hate? None of these cars.
It
They're
probably
all
makes
great.
sense just to start at the
You think so?
The first one, yeah.
But what if I start putting everything at S and then I realize I got too much at S?
This is why you have to be strategic about it.
All right. We're going to put Aston Martin in B. That's fine. Bugatti. I'll put Bugatti up at S. Love a good Bugatti. BYD. Come on. Enzo. Love an Enzo, but it's automatic. We don't like that. Ferrari in general. Doug loves Ferrari, even though he doesn't have one. Favorite brand. Ford GT. New Ford GT. Koenigsegg. I'm not into Koenigsegg's. They break down all the time. Lamborghini. This one, I don't know. But most of them, I'll put it up here.
Yeah.
No, you know what? Let's put Lamborghini.
If it's just Lambo, then it's just a Lambo in general. It's not specific.
Yeah.
Lucid, no, come on. We like Lucid, but we're not obsessed. McLaren P1, I'm embarrassed to say because I really only like cars with manual transmissions. I really love the McLaren P1. Mercedes AMG 1, it seems like it's overwrought. There's like a lot to it. I'm going to put it down there. No, here. Neo, no thanks. Pagani Huayra, not a big Huayra guy.
Why not?
It's the motor is wrong for the car, and also every Huayra has been spec'd by someone who has no taste. Have you seen Huayra builds? Like
they're a little wild, but but that's the point of the car. So
I guess then great. Then that car can be with those people.
Okay.
You know how many Huayra owners are like under indictment? Most.
No, really?
No, but you get the feeling. Porsche 918. It's Rimac de Vera. No, we don't like electric stuff. Rivian, we like Rivian. We'll put Rivian. Yeah, Rivian's there. SSC Tuatara, no. Shmi taught us what's going on with that. 300 SL, yeah. We like that. 670, 765 LT Spider, yeah, it's okay. He's going to kill me. Countach, very best. 250 GTO, yeah, it's cool. I appreciate it. I don't love the old stuff as much. Model T, come on. Rolls Royce, it's fine, I guess. Tesla Roadster, yeah, it's fine. Tesla in general, what should I do? D or F? You tell me.
D for sure.
Oh, it went to F.
Oh.
Fine, I'll put it at D. I'm not a big Tesla dude. Prius, great for the people who need them, taxi drivers, etc. Venom F5, drove it, liked it. It's pretty cool. And the Xiaomi Su7, not as bad as you think. There's my list. I'm happy with this list.
This is great.
This ended up perfectly.
You would
layout,
no
F. Of this.
I'm a positive dude.
You could do a video like this, and it would. I think it would like blow up. Truly, if you did a car tier list.
Yeah.
And so we have one other tier list for you to do. Okay.
Yes.
We want you to do a car YouTuber tier list.
Okay. I can do this. No problem. I'm not going to know most of these people, honestly. I don't. Okay. Oh, they're all A or S. Well, I can't rank them. Okay, Whistling is S, obviously. I'm going to start with Whistling because he's the best. Whistling is my North Star, my guiding light.
We would love to have him on the podcast. We've asked him a million times. If you're watching this, please, we'll make it happen. We'll travel to you. We flew to San Diego for this. Guys,
Cody,
if anything, give it a
like. He'll come to Tennessee. They'll also come to Montana. Wherever it is that you prefer.
We'll bail you out. Literally anything you want. We'll come make it happen.
Whatever you need.
Okay, I'm going to embarrass myself because I don't know all these people. B is for Build, like them. Cletus, love Cletus. Not my stuff, never watch him, but love what he's doing. DDE, not really my content. Donut, like Donut, into Donut. We got James on there. He's not around them anymore. I do not know who this person is.
Okay, no one, I haven't heard anyone mention Doug Vargo. You don't know who he is.
Vargo, he's going to be whoever he is,
I know,
going to be so
but that's the
thing.
So he started content like in the YouTube niche recently. He was doing stuff on YouTube beforehand, but he's doing this series called Flipping Cars Until I Can Afford My Dream Car.
Oh, I have seen that.
Have you seen the guys?
Yeah.
Have you seen his videos?
Yes,
They're
I have.
Great videos.
Yeah, they are good
and
videos.
He's been blowing up.
All right, I'll put him up here. B. I'll put him with Donut. Ed, love Ed. Got to put Ed up there. Crazy dude. Hoovy, obviously God tier. Shmee, love Shmee. Shmee belongs up here. Steve, put Steve down here. Steve had a Countach and sold it, and Steve to me is less car YouTuber, more rich guy. Stradman, love Strad dearly. Supercar Blondie. I like Supercar Blondie. The content has sort of made a little bit of a turn. I'm gonna put her at B. Freddie, I'm gonna give Freddie a B only because he doesn't make enough content. TJ, love TJ. It's not really my type of stuff. Like he works on stuff. It's not like the kind of the stuff that I watch. And Parker, love Parker dearly. This is also brilliant.
Amazing.
I completely stand by this.
Perfect.
You crushed it.
Loved it.
Freddie should probably be higher, but we need more Freddie. Freddie, you'll become an S when you post twice a week. And when we get the 918 done.
Do you have any words for Hoovy?
I just saw him. And so I've told him everything I need to tell him, but just that I love him dearly. Sell some cars on Cars and Bits. Tell him that. Hoovy, sell some cars on Cars and Bits. I got a Hoovy story for you. You want to hear a Hoovy story?
I do.
Okay. He's going to hate me for telling this story because it still makes him sad. Like 6 months ago, he's got this Cadillac concept car. And I'm begging him to let me review it and sell it on Cars and Bids. He's like, no, I'm just going to sell it to this dealer. He sells it to the dealer for like 10. I'm like, dude, I would have given you. It was like, he had bought it for like 11. Right? It was this kind of ratty old thing. And I was like, I would have given you a 10 reserve just to have it. I would have killed to review it, whatever. He traded it to this dealer for something else. And the dealer put it on the other auction site and it sold for like 50.
Oh, why did he give it to the dealer?
He wanted some car they had and thought it was a pretty good trade. The problem is when you're Hoovy, you're making 60 car trades a year. Some of them are going to be amazing and some of them are going to be terrible. And he really gets down with the terrible. Like it really affects him, the terrible ones.
Yeah.
But that happened. I was really upset because I wanted to drive that car so bad. That's a Hoovy story for you.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, Doug, thank you so much for coming on the Iced Coffee Hour podcast. It's always such a pleasure. Such an energetic and positive person.
I always feel great after filming these
Every
episodes.
time we film with you, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Well, I appreciate
not only is it easy, it's fun, and just like time flies. It felt like 30 minutes, and we'll do it again next year.
Yeah, for sure.
And the viewers love it. So once again, thank you so much.
See you next year. Boom.
See you guys.
And remember, Graham needs help 12 at gmail.com.
And if you want to do the inflatables idea, if I see custom inflatables happening out there in the world, I want to cut. I know where you saw it. I'm coming for you.
And don't forget to sell your cool enthusiast car at carsandbids.com.
And also, thank you guys so very much. Yeah. We flew all the way down to San Diego to make this happen. And then we're renting a car, driving to Los Angeles to film another episode over there, and then flying back to Vegas.
Yeah.
So,
and our editor, Mikey, is hustling to get this out on Sunday. Big thank
but
you to
thank
Mike.
you to everyone watching. Seriously, thank you. We wouldn't do it without you guys, of course.
Boom.
Boom. Till next time.